All right, it looks like we're finally live. That took a really long time. Yay, YouTube. Hey, everybody, it's Chris with Drop Dice. It's nice to say that again. I've been working off channel with another project that we may, hold on a second, may or may not be coming off the ground. I don't know, but I'll talk about it anyways.
It's called
I'm
The
working
Child.
with another group of, no, I'm actually working with another group of broadcasters. We're looking to launch a new channel that's a combined effort between several broadcasters. It's called Babel Roleplay. Reach higher is the kind of the pitch line with it, but it's kind of a very small work in progress. I think I have all 2 games that are on that channel right now. So if you want to see some more of me, there's that channel. But the most important reason that you're here is these guys. These guys are the ones you recognize from Legend of the Five Rings. We're going to do another big campaign. So we've got everything all wrapped up.
Hold on. Don't jinx us. Don't jinx us.
If you guys saw the Burning Wheel Session 0, where we talked about a high fantasy game using mecha and political intrigue, this is that game. It took us a little while to get here, but we finally got schedules sorted out and personal lives and things like that. And my baby can sleep on his own now, so that's super helpful.
Yeah, I finally learned how to sleep on my own, guys.
It was really hard work for all of us, but we got it done.
Yeah. They also potty trained me in the meantime.
Yeah, I was about to say he's a bedwetter.
Yeah.
That was a pleasure.
It was tough.
Look at 3/4 of the way there is almost there.
Yeah, well, hey, that's why we have plastic sheets.
So ideally, once I get my computer stuff in order, this is actually going to be broadcast on Twitch mainly, and then it will be replayed on YouTube. But on the Twitch one, once we finally get that up and running, you guys will actually be able to see the tools that we're using for Burning Wheel. Tonight it'll be a little bit old-fashioned, kind of like what you guys used to see with L5R, where it's mostly our talking heads through the broadcast and everything. So
it's like watching an episode of Futurama.
Yeah. So let's go down the line and remind everybody of who we are. If you guys want to talk about who your characters are, this is probably a good time for that as well. Start with Tom.
Don't do it, Tom.
Don't do it, Tom. It's expected of you.
Buy Guns of Icarus online.
Not till the end. Don't spoil it.
Right. That said, my company is working on other things right now, which I can't really talk about. So look forward to that.
Stay tuned.
Then why bring it up, jerk face?
Because it's called
Because you already stole Guns of Icarus thing. That's like your thing now, so I have to have a new thing. So my new thing is hinting at stuff which I can't talk about.
Been at work telling them that we need to introduce a new game so that he has something to talk about when he plays online games with me.
Problem is, don't worry. Once we know what the game's name is, we'll be fucking broadcasting that shit too, Tom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So, as you might have guessed, I'm Tom. I had met these guys 8 years ago? Is it now? 8, 7? I've been gaming with them.
Something like that.
Yeah, I've been gaming with them
within the last decade.
Yep. So this is my most consistent group of gaming friends, which I appreciate.
One might say most loyal.
One might.
Most important.
All right. And for this particular game, I'm going to be playing a character named Francis Morgan, the Arcane Die Smith. Die makers are a very important class of people within this world. One may say a form of minor nobility. But Francis has fallen on some hard times and has been, let's say, shunned. So, while normally he might have a high position, both by being a die smith and having sorcerer's talent, he has been, let's say, cast aside, which is why he's with this motley group of people.
Murdoch, that brings it to you.
I'm Murdoch. I hate everybody, literally. Not really, though. My character is named Mason. He is a jungle-born human who is new to the Mesa, kind of, and wants to eradicate the elves. Some good old fashioned killing all the elves.
It's a good goal.
So That's really my character in a nutshell. He's getting ready to be a mecha pilot. So there you go. That's me.
All right, Jeremy.
I am Jeremy. People
No one
should know me
cares.
as Jeremy.
No one
If you don't
cares.
care, then continue on. But if you do care, my character's name is Marshall Steelheart. He's kind of an all-around smith. He blacksmith, whitesmith, mecha smith, the usual. He's not a dwarf. He wants to be a dwarf. He's being trained by a dwarf. His goal is to be a dwarf. And his aspirations, even bigger than being a dwarf, are to make the best mecha, as a proper dwarf should do.
Perfect. And Brennan?
I am playing Abbot Ansel. He is obviously the leader or he's in charge of an abbey in the Holy Land, and he belongs to the Order of Saint Lombard. The Lombardines. They're devoted to traveling the world and preaching hard work and earnest living. And they're very much about being for the people. And he's being sent by the church as part of a commission for the war crime court.
Excellent. So let's talk about the situation. For any of the past stuff that we talked about when we were creating the characters, getting to know like who NPCs are and stuff like that, do consult the Session 0 video. We're just going to jump in from our situation here and kind of begin. So in the Holy Land, where the Abbey has been set up. Hold on just one second.
That doesn't rhyme. That's a terrible song. Quit dying, you coward.
There we go. Sorry, in the Holy Land, a small section of land to the south has been fought over for generations. The Kingdom of Ethabin settled the lands and built the city of Wayhaven, a large pilgrimage farming colony. About 5 years ago, Aldhedge moved in and to expand their territory into the Holy Land, and they took over Wayhaven. Duke Emmerich Leroux of Wayhaven, the Duke assigned by Wayhaven by Aldhedge, drove the Ethabin forces off the land bridge, killing 15,000 men. Basically, Ethabin has returned, and they're looking for revenge. They started a war that was approved by the Patriarch and the Church, and they were surprised when Aldhedge's once thought to be lazy son led an army to ridiculous amounts of victory, basically. The Viscount who from Ethabin is now pushing for peace after his men have fallen in several battles. And the church has decided that it is done with the warring in the Holy Land and has sent 5,000 Templars to forcibly separate the armies. Patriarch has asked this group of people as residents of the Holy Land to basically judge over who is right and who is wrong. Both sides have claimed that there have been war crimes committed. Normally, this would be left up to our Abbot Ansel's, I guess, frenemy is the best way to describe him. It's an enemy that he developed in his life past, Bishop Doman Belgrad. Normally, he would be the one in charge of this, but the bishop is actually from Ethabin. From Aldhedge. So he's been asked to step down from judgment, as it could be partial to his own people. The goals of the council are to restore civil order, cease hostile actions. Duels may be conducted for honor, though not for life. Violation of this is to have the person perpetrating it hung, drawn, and quartered. An investigation into violation of church law, which includes assault on non-combatant pilgrims, unnecessary escalation of military power, malicious destruction beyond military goals, blasphemy, alliance with supernatural forces that mean harm to man, and interfering with sacred pilgrimages, waterways, roads, and taxations. Regardless of the grievances and the sentences of crime, you are to persecute these criminals with equal or lesser station than yourselves and dispense justice. Any personage of higher station, you are to take it up to a higher council. The Bishop Doman Belgrad is supposed to carry out judgment for anyone that outranks you. Anybody that is above that will be taken to the ground council in front of the Patriarch himself. The matters that were brought to your attention inside the letter include assassins that have entered Hallister Fort and slew Abram Sands, the High Guard captain, and Baroness Marina Montes of Ethaben. The well in the village of Swordbreak was contaminated, leading to the deaths of both soldiers and common folk. The fields outside of Wayhaven, controlled by Aldhedge currently, have been salted, negating their ability to pay tribute to the church. People of Aldhedge will most likely be affected by the loss of crops as well. The Bleeding Sister Temple, an orphanage, was destroyed by spellcraft. The funeral of Saint Solon Thomas of Aldhedge was interrupted by an assault. Both sides claimed that the other used unsanctioned mercenary forces without consent from the church to escalate hostilities. And probably more importantly to at least one of the members here, dye production of ultramarine from lapis lazuli has all but stopped due to the assaults on common folk. This being ultimately a matter of church security, we require an estimate of when production will resume. So, do you guys have any questions on the situation before we begin with kind of setting up the scenes?
So I know Nate's character isn't here, but does his lineage have to do with anything with the two kingdoms we're dealing with?
No, it does not, but you are unaware of his lineage.
For all the things that were brought to our attention, do they have like accused perpetrators next to them, or it's just like both sides are saying the other did those?
Yeah, pretty much each side is blaming the other. The church is unaware of who would do such a thing, but it's safe to assume that you wouldn't send assassins on yourself. So it's probably the enemy. That's kind of the church's stance on that one.
Right.
The village of Swordbreak, both sides are claiming that the other side was using it for military warfare and should not have been doing so. Let's see. Wayhaven is controlled by Aldhedge, and it doesn't make sense that they'd salt their own fields. That's kind of the church's stance on that. Anyone could have burned the temple, and it would be more likely that Aldhedge would not stage a fake interruption of a saint. It's burial.
Fair enough.
And then, of course, both sides claim unsanctioned mercenary forces. The dye production thing, the church has brought that up. Neither side really brought that up.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, real quick, let's talk a little bit about Burning Wheel and its mechanisms. When I put together scenes with you guys, or you guys seek to put together your own scenes, your beliefs should come up inside of them. Some scenes are more for us to kind of start the ball rolling on the story, like these first couple ones are, but your character should be playing towards your beliefs and instincts. So what I want to do is take a moment to talk about your current beliefs and instincts, and if you guys want to add or change any of those or work through them, this is a good time for us to do it. So let's start with the Clericus, Abbot Ansel.
I just opened it. Okay. My beliefs are: I will learn more about my companions so as to better guide them on this road Timote has laid before us. I will convince the court that war in the Holy Land is an affront to God. Mason is eager, but he needs to learn that peace is the bravest fight. And my special extra religious belief is the road to God is humble and laborious.
Okay,
do you want me to go over my instincts as well?
Yeah, if you could, just so we have a better idea of the character, and then just read off your traits. You don't have to describe them.
Okay. My instincts are to always lend a hand. I always have a piece of scripture for every situation. And when I'm met with a new place or group of people, I engage with the common folk to learn. Okay,
cool. So instinct number 2 is important to me, and I want to ask you a couple questions about it. You have a piece of scripture for every situation. Is this like you have taken the time and written out little like fortune cookie scripture pieces that you hand people, or is this something like you?
No, it's more in dialogue because
Okay.
he has a history as a itinerant priest, a traveling priest. So he has a very good memory. He basically has the entire holy book in rote memory, and he just can spout it off very convincingly.
Cool. And is this instinct, is the intent to roll something like religion wise every time it comes up so that you can then add scripture to the world, or is it just you want to just make up scripture as you go without any skill? My suggestion to you, as somebody who's seen more and played a little bit more than you probably on Burning Wheel, you probably want to go with a skill because it will make you better at the skill the more you use it.
Okay.
It also opens up opportunity for your character to accidentally misquote the Bible, and then we have a fun scene with that. So that would be my suggestion.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And then I can say, oh, I'm quoting this person who interpreted it.
Yes, exactly. Like you could definitely cover yourself up and be like, oh, well, I was looking at, Lothorius's interpretation and translation inside this book, but the other person will see it as like a misunderstanding or something like that.
But basically, the main point of it is like normally, like people go through all this research to be able to cite things from a book that they have in front of them, stuff like that. He just has it all in his head, and he can just weave it into normal discussion, just any part of it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then let's just read off the names of your traits.
My traits are reeks of alcohol because he's a brewer. We make beer at the Abbey. Dusty from all his traveling days. Dour and callous from his heritage. And
Ruddy's
ruddy.
From your heritage as well.
Ruddy was also from brewer, just just a flushed skin, I guess. And that was all the descriptive traits. Did you want me to go over the rest of them too?
Yeah, we're just looking at the names. So you were also tonsured, which means that you can wear religious vestments, and you're faithful, which means
my tonsure as in my monk order is to go barefoot and to wear brown robes dyed brown, which is a specific statement since dyes are so important. Brown is symbolic of hard work and labor and earnesty.
It's
which
very
are
out
important
of character for most monks. Most monks typically stick with one of the 5 holy colors. You've specifically gone and chosen a different.
So, and they're often called the tannic monks because of that, tannin being the common dye used for brown. And I also have faithful. I have the faith attribute. I can perform miracles, although he prefers hard work and earning things over than just trying to make it easy through God.
Excellent. And one thing that I do want to point out, and this is more for everybody at the table to be fully aware of, while he can perform miracles, which includes healing your characters, he can only do that to the faithful. If you do not have a belief that is about God or something around the church, something that's like about faith, he can't help you. Just throwing that out there. So he does have a couple relationships, which I'm just going to touch on real quick. He has a monk order that he's built up, and he has a second in command named Brother Werner. Brother Werner is an other family member and forbidden. If I remember right, we said that Brother Werner used to be a criminal. Is that correct?
Yes, he used to be a criminal before he joined my order, and I allowed him in. And he's become my second command, the prior of the Abbey. I was thinking maybe he was his thing is he performed some sort of violent crime, and now he sort of dedicated himself to healing people physically, not through miracles. And that's how he's atoning in the eyes of God, as well as his normal labor. So the Abbey's sort of a waypoint for travelers. It's one of their duties, and that's a service he provides to people.
Excellent.
And for my other one, I made it slightly different. My idea was why it's forbidden. It's a romantic relationship. Instead of my original idea was to make it because my character is celibate, but then I had the idea of making the interest the miller's wife.
Okay, I gotcha. So that's it's going to be the miller's wife. You chose that instead of the innkeeper, or do you want to keep it as the innkeeper?
Because I was thinking about it, and my and the abbey sort of is going to act as an inn because they help travelers coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So there wouldn't really be much space for an inn in the town.
Okay. And then we mentioned it earlier. You have a other family relationship. So he's like a distant cousin that's hateful with Doman Belgrad, who's the bishop in this area.
Yeah, I'm guessing we spent time as acolytes together, and he chose to go the more. He had a noble background and chose to go in that direction, became a bishop. I had a commoner's background, and I chose to go the exact opposite route by becoming by joining this particular monk order, which is very poor and common folk focused.
Okay, great. Next, we'll go to Marshall. Now, Marshall, I'm looking at your beliefs real quick. Let's talk about the ones you have, and it looks like you've got a couple spaces on here. That's okay. We can start with lesser beliefs, but I do encourage you to have 3 beliefs for each game at least, and then 3 instincts, just because it helps.
No, I remember I couldn't. I was coming up blank with a lot of the beliefs.
Yeah, and that's where the situation can come in handy. Like knowing what this first part of the adventure is, you can write a belief that's like, I want to go investigate this person for this crime.
Yeah.
And as soon as you do it, it's an accomplished goal.
All right. So for beliefs, the first one I have to build a workshop. And well, since the goal of my character is that I was trained by a dwarf who is trying to impart some of his knowledge off to humans because the dwarves are kind of dying out, and this specific dwarf believes that the craft work and the knowledge of the dwarf should pass on to someone. So apparently I was chosen, or maybe not chosen, and he's just stuck with me. Really, I don't know the difference. But when I mean by workshop that I'm building, I mean a specific trying to recreate a dwarven workshop.
Mm-hmm.
That includes knowledge that humans generally do not have access to, with the dwarven the special forages and such. So, but the thing is I need better. What's it called? Society to live with, and that's why I'm believing in this new town or whatever, the abbey that is popped up, because I believe that they are doing something. They're allowing me to do. They're accepting of my my craziness. Might be trying to essentially recreate being a dwarf. And the second one,
when you guys do your beliefs and instincts, you guys don't have to go too deep into them. Just read what they are, and then we'll kind of continue. That way we can jump right into the game afterward.
The second one is I want to build a Drakrit, which is the dragon mechs in this system, for the viewers. And because I believe that's essentially the proper way to accomplish being a dwarf. Because since that's what he was taught, that's like an epitome of any proper smith.
Great. And the 2 goals you have are kind of longer term goals.
Yeah.
So what I would look at is for your third belief there is doing something that's a little bit more short term that you could accomplish either this session or the next session. Maybe pick out one of those things that's one of those crimes and say like, go to the crime scene and investigate, which is something that's very easy for you guys to accomplish within the next session or 2.
Yeah.
So your instincts.
As a smith, I'm always ready to do my job, especially my belief of what better than human smiths could be.
Mm-hmm.
And my second instinct that I have is since I truly do like to believe that I can be a dwarf. I am competitive with other smiths. I think I think what I make is better. I think what I can make will be better if I'm not already.
Okay. Now, instincts are kind of double-edged. Usually, that's the best way to write your instincts because then when they get you in trouble, that's when you get experience for them.
Yeah.
I like how the first one works just because I want to make sure that you and I are on the same page on this one. Like it says as a dwarfsmith, I'm always ready to do my job. Does that mean like if you're talking to the king and the king's chair is kind of wobbly, like are you breaking out tools trying to fix it?
I always have I always have toolkits on me.
Okay, cool.
Toolkits.
I was gonna say that's how I figured I'd be able to challenge that instinct. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And then I'll read off your traits real quick here. It's ginger.
Yeah.
Reverence to smiths, demented, call of the sky, believer, misunderstood, broken in, made man, gifted, and tinkerer.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of relationships. One's with your forge master, which is Volgum Steelheart.
Yep.
And then you have a twin sister, which is Mary Hansen. She is
another smith, but she grew up with she was raised learning human techniques because my family my family has always been smith, but I always had odd ideas and such, so I was never trained as well as my sister was, but then Volgum found me and trained me how to be, trained me in his ways. So I know very little about how to be a proper human smith.
Yeah, and your sister is actually developing weapons for the Drakrid as well, which is an interesting new field now that mechs are a thing for the world.
Mm-hmm. So she's just like my family has always done. She's capitalizing on something and really trying to get ahead of the game.
All right, excellent. Do we have Murdoch here? I'm looking at
Yes.
All right, cool.
There.
Yes, your turn.
Sorry, the dog was going berserk, so I thought the Withy was home, but she is not.
No, it's cool. It's your turn. If you go over your beliefs and instincts and then just read the names of your traits.
Sure. Well, Mason's beliefs and instincts. We'll start with his beliefs, I guess. His first belief is he will keep the Abbey safe during the trials and investigations. So, I mean, that's just it. He wants to form a militant order to deal with the elves that he believes are coming.
Real quick, I just want to touch on that one. Your character does have a knightly order. You're looking for a militant order, meaning sanctioned from the church to be considered like a holy order of knights.
What?
I just wanted to clarify for belief too. You say militant order. Do you mean that you want to take your knight order and make it a holy order, meaning that it's sanctioned from the church and gets backing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I understand.
Part of that will be I will prove to the faith that I am from the jungle. He's from the jungle. Nobody believes that he's from under the mesa. The way the world works is it's basically a big pillar. Pillar's kind of a bad word for it, but basically think of if a continent was basically thrust up into the clouds and nobody knew what was down below. He's from down below. And he wants to prove that to the faith. And his special belief is he will make sure the abbot understands the need for his knight order and knights in general. That not all things are solved through discussion and diplomacy. His instincts are that he always checks people and assesses them for threats, which gets him into trouble sometimes because he'll make obvious motions to weapons and stuff, and he may instinctively grab a weapon. Being from the jungle, he's not very great with good social cues like that. He's used to the boogeyman jumping out at him. His weapons, or my weapons, armor, and horse are a knight's words to the world. Keep them clean. Basically, he's everything that he does, he tries to keep very clean because purity, having the faith, the purity of faith and everything, it's one of those things that this is how he projects himself to the world, so he wants to make sure that the world sees that. And his last instinct is that whenever he is invited somewhere, a gift is due for both parties. So if he was invited to the king of the court of the king, he would bring a gift for the king, and it would expect one back. Not giving the gift back, is like a huge slap in the face to him. that basically he's not good enough to receive a portion of this person's soul or body or whatnot. His traits, like all people from the jungle, he's tall and lean. He is also very superstitious. He's the type of guy that won't walk under a ladder or is like, oh, this is Friday the 13th. I'm not leaving the order. Nobody, we're done. We're sitting in today. He's also very pragmatic, and that kind of comes from his superstition. Do you want his die traits as well?
Yeah, just the names. The one that I'm going to talk about is Blooded. Blooded is a trait that we added to the game that basically means that you have acquired a dragon heart and the right to pilot a Beskam. Or, sorry, a Drakgom. There we go. Which is the name of the dragon mechs for the setting.
So,
hey, I'm down for Mandalorian dragon mechs.
Yep.
I also have Sworn Homage, which is one die affiliation in the nobility, and I am also faithful and able to perform miracles.
Perfect.
But I am not nearly as faithful as the abbot.
And you have a squire, which is the Lady Kiva of Lore Castle. She's from a faraway kingdom. It is actually the kingdom that your original Knight Master is from as well. So it was kind of you taking on a family favor, if you would, for like an extended family. Yep. She happens to be the daughter of a baron and is quite powerful in her own right.
And she's actually come with me to the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
She knows the truth. We're all gonna die.
All right, and Francis Morgan, if you would.
Where's Francis?
You're a squirrel.
Squirrel Morgan.
Maybe.
One of these days, we need to have Tom actually roleplay a squirrel person and just keep him like that.
I was going to say, if you guys remember, I roleplayed squirrel people before. It was a mess.
Mic check?
Yes.
All right. For those confused, my webcam is a very peculiar trait where the first time I plug in, it gets all swirly. And I had to like reset my webcam halfway through this, so I apologize. Anyway, Francis's beliefs. First one, I will put the monastery on the map, basically make it famous and important, mostly as like a way to repay the abbot for his hospitality and a way to prove himself. I will find an ally within the Dai Guild to help me regain my status. Pretty self-explanatory. He does not like how he's been snuffed and wants to fix that. And I will make sure the commoners are not looked down on by those above them. This is a personal thing, which he particularly does not care for how some of the nobility treat the commoners. Then we have...
We're going to turn into communists.
Then there are my instincts, which are mostly based around how Francis, at heart, is actually an artist. Whenever I enter a new space, I will analyze the lighting. He is very particular about like lighting and room composition and things like that, so he will always notice it like first thing. Always carry art supplies, which actually feeds into his third instinct, which is if I see something new and wondrous, I will capture it as art. Now, this doesn't mean like he necessarily has to stop every time he sees like a vista, simply because he's like seen that many times before. But the first time he sees a dragon and then the rest of his party's panicking, he's going to be pulling out a canvas and start sketching that thing.
What if you see like a beautiful pile of trash? Are you going to claim it as your own art?
I mean, if it's a beautiful
God
pile
damn it,
of trash,
he's going to be the one that makes that video of a bag floating in the wind.
Exactly.
And then your traits?
Hold on, switch over. Wrong page. There we go. So, whatever, I can just remember it. My traits are mark of privilege because I was born into a minor noble family, and I'm sort of pairing this off with many-colored hands, which is normally a die maker trait. But within this world, the staining on his hands from working with dyes is his mark of privilege. It shows that he is part of the dye families and like he is a hard worker. So when people see his hands, they shall probably take notice of his status. Base humility. Dye workers are in general very hardworking, so he has like a very humble outlook. Like, he understands the value of hard work, and that's part of the reason why he appreciates commerce more than, say, other nobility do. Gifted, which gives him the power of magic, something his parents noticed on early, and this is why he got his sorceress training. Odd, he's, well, kind of weird. As you might have guessed by his instincts, like when he sees like a horrifying, terrible beast, but it's so majestic in its own way, he has to paint it rather than fleeing for his life. He has perspective. As he is an artist, he's very good at discerning 3D and 2D images, so he's capable of Baroque painting. He has greater muse. When he sees painting, not his own, he cannot inspire himself, but if he sees like properly inspiring paintings, he gets a bonus to his sorcery powers. It's part of his inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has perfect pitch. He can perfectly hear and mimic pitches, which is nice. And as he is from the Wayhaven, he is pious, dusky, and mustachioed.
Perfect. So one thing that I wanted to add, since you are from Wayhaven, I had to add a optional there, because mustachioed, I didn't want a bunch of mustachioed women running around inside this area.
That would be fantastic.
Flamboyant is an option for you as well. Flamboyant is male, female, and then mustachio is just males inside this area. But you can go with whichever one you like.
I'll take mustachioed.
I decided on flamboyant when I saw your sister as one of the NPCs, and I was like, yeah, if I mustache his sister, he might not be cool with that. So
No, his sister has a mustache. We just can't see it on her face.
yeah, she wears a little wrap. Okay, perfect. So you all have been asked to go investigate, and you know the routes that people would be taking to get to where they're going. You went to Gateway to get this letter from the Bishop Dome in Belgrade. On the way back, you are able to see armies moving through the Holy Land. This is a site that most of you have grown up with. The First Crusade was only 10 years ago. And there's even discussion of a second crusade coming. Over the hill, you see the banners flying high with Aldhedge colors. And the symbol that is present is a white posy with a black center. You recognize that as one of the noble houses for Aldhedge, but it's not a name that you immediately recognize unless you happen to have like Noble Wise or something like that. Or if you have Heraldry Wise, I think the Knight might have that as an option for some of his skills.
We need Nate.
Nope.
Okay.
Who said we need Nate? Oh, was that Brendan?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
We love the farmer, and we tell us, oh, it's that noble house from over there.
Yeah, it's like, how do you know, farmer?
I was gonna say Soldier Wise would work as well.
Then I will use Soldier Wise.
Okay, excellent. Let me just take a look at your character to see if it got filled in. Cool. You did fill it in. When you're on your character sheet, if you go to the stats and skills page,
yep,
you've got your skills typed in inside there. You can just click on the die 6 icon there, and it should pop up right away.
It says modifiers, which I assume there are none. Artha?
So modifiers, one of the easiest ways to get a modifier is have help. If anybody has a skill that they think could be related to identifying heraldry, let me ask me, and then I'll tell you if it does.
What about obscure history?
I have
in this case.
Religious history.
I have fabric wise. I can tell you what the fabric is made out of.
That or
you know what? I'll let that one go. Yeah. There's something specific about people in Aldhedge, so I'll say that's good.
All right.
Okay. So
that is 1 bonus.
So
Chris, can I help with appraisal?
No.
Right.
Not in this circumstance.
And Artha?
I don't have anything that I think I can help with.
So There's a couple types of Artha. You guys have them on that main splash page. It says Fate and Persona.
Yep.
It says Artha there. It's talking about Persona. You can add a Persona to your roll to give you an extra die to be rolled for successes. It's up to you if you want to use it, but this is the first roll of the game and you've only got one. The next time you're going to get Persona is the end of this session. So you might want to use it a little bit wisely on here.
Nope, I'm not going to use it. So submit base obstacle.
So the base obstacle, once I tell you this number, we cannot go backwards. The reason I'm telling you this rule right now on a roll that doesn't matter, if you say, I'm going to stab that dude to death, I go, okay, your purpose is stab him to death. Got it. Your base obstacle is 8. You can't go, oh shit, I'm not going to do that.
Too fucking bad.
Base obstacle for this is a 1.
Okay. Submit.
Mm-hmm.
3 successes versus 1 obstacle.
Perfect. So looking at the crest there, you notice that the center of the posy itself, there's actually a shield crest inside that black center. It's kind of hard to see from this far of a distance, but you recognize it. It's part of being appointed Justicar. You're allowed to add a shield to your heraldry to signify that you're here for official business. Knowing who all is supposed to be investigating this crime, you believe it to be Lord Justicar Christian Jacquemin from Aldhedge.
Lord, can you type that in the Roll20?
I will show you his sheet.
Oh, sweet.
Or just got Christian. Yeah.
All right. All right. I will go. Oh, that's the heraldry of Lord Justicar Jacquemin. Am I saying that right?
Jacquemin.
Jacquemin. It's
No,
French.
in game.
Sorry.
Am I saying that right?
Francis will pipe up and say, Jacquemin.
Jacquemin?
No, Jacquemin.
I can't make that pronunciation. I'm sorry. We should probably go say hello. I hope you have all brought something. I take something out of my pack and I continue forward.
Okay.
Should we go over how we're traveling at all? I think we were given horses.
You were given lizards. Remember, this city has riding lizards, not horses.
So one of my possessions is a draft animal. Is it a draft lizard or is this a mule?
Yeah, it's like a draft lizard. I imagine it kind of bulky, like a buffalo would be.
I have
like more lizardy shaped.
I have a war lizard. It's from the jungle.
That's definitely got to be one of those ones that's got the frill on it.
It's a kimono lizard.
So
Nice.
I am traveling by foot, and I also have a wagon with me with a draft lizard holding kegs and cases of beer.
Okay.
I'm traveling on foot.
Sorry about
As
that.
you approach, Lord Jacquemin's scouts point you out. It's pretty easy to tell they're not really doing anything like military maneuvers, but you can see who the scout is, and they run over to Lord Jacquemin. A few moments after the scout runs over, you can see that Jacquemin's train comes to a stop, and they wait for you to approach on the road. Jacquemin kind of waits till you're about 30 feet away, and he holds up a hand and waves to you. Hail, travelers.
How does he do it?
Warm and welcoming is kind of the best way to describe
No,
it.
I mean, does he like, how is his wave? Is it like a cup? Hello, I'm in a parade.
Does he go to the princess parade?
Does he just, is it just one hand, it doesn't wiggle?
It's like the one hand up. He doesn't really wiggle it. He gives it like a quarter turn. It's kind of the same wave that you'd see from like travelers on the road. You can tell that he's been on the road quite a bit.
Okay. I will go.
I'll shout back to him. Long and weary our roads have been. Let us take a moment and breathe. This is a piece of scripture, a famous quote from when my patron saint first met Timothy. Timote on the road as a traveler.
Okay.
It's sort of a basic greeting we give on the road.
The Whiffy is now actually home, so I will be back in a minute. Well, I guess I can talk for a moment, keep going for a moment, but then my headset's just going to go up. He does that, and I will throw the reins over to one side and move over, making sure that my standard is clearly shown, that he is aware of my position and who I am. But I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, he sees you approaching, and he's kind of sitting on the side of his cart, and he suddenly recognizes the heraldry that the Mason wears, and he says, "Wow, I can't believe I've met you on the road. What good luck. Forgive me. I am Lord Justicar Christian Jackman. A pleasure." And he extends a hand to you, which is more of like a commoner greeting. It's really familiar when nobles do that to each other.
So,
I'll grasp his hand, and then in my other hand, I whip around an elven dagger that I've taken as a prize from the last war.
Okay.
It is blade first. In Mason's mind, it is so that he can inspect the quality of the blade of the gift that he is receiving.
In Mason's
So-
mind.
Yeah, I mean, you grab his hand, and it almost looks like you're pulling him in to strike at him.
Yeah.
A moment later, a bodyguard comes to tackle you, just knocks you straight down to the ground. The dagger skids off to the side, and Jacquemin is like pulling a sword, trying to figure out what is going on here.
I would like to step forward, specifically like stepping over the tackled people. It's like, please excuse my friend. He is very particular with his mannerisms. Do not take offense.
Jacquemin looks you up and down, and he goes, "Oh, geez, someone of noble bearing at last." And he puts his sword back. You guys can tell Jacquemin is not really... Like, he's skilled enough to use a sword, but he's not, like, a warrior by any stretch. Let him up. What is this about?
Is he looking at me now?
Yeah, he is. You're still being held by guards, but you're up now.
I look at him and I say, I get up and I dust myself off, and I look at the guard, like, very angry because now I'm dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, there goes that impression. Lord Justicar, I merely meant to present you this weapon. I display its blade to you for you to inspect its quality.
He's suddenly taken back, and he goes, "Forgive me. It's been a long road. Let go of the night. It was Sir," and he kind of like holds out that lingering pause for you to answer to.
Mason, the Order of Sir Randolph, or Radolph, excuse me.
Oh, Sir Mason.
5th generation.
Sir Mason, it is wonderful to see a man of prestigious breeding and selection of skill. And he's taken the blade and he's kind of turning it over, looking at it. You guys can interrupt me at any time if you want to call his bullshit, because he's kind of putting it on thick. He's rotating the blade in each hand, carefully looking at it, or at least it appears to be that he's carefully looking at it. And then he takes the knife and he kind of like flips it in his hand. But there's absolutely no skill to it. That much is really clear. This guy has like knows how to use a dinner knife, and that's about it.
So I'm gonna tell him, if you want to check for the for the quality of the weapon. You gotta, and I'm gonna start trying to show him how to actually check for the quality because he apparently does not know how. And and show him like what there is to look for in a blade, in a proper blade, how the skill you can tell who the the individual of how the maker, the person who made it, put it together. Because I'm essentially treating him like an idiot with that.
Yeah, I mean, he listens intently and he nods to your words and he says, "Well, this has been most revealing. I didn't think that they'd send a weapons expert to such a crime investigation, but."
Oh no! I'm not actually a weapons expert. I'm not even the greatest with weapons myself, or even how to make them.
Lord Justicar, this is my blacksmith.
Well, I can see that he has eye for skill. It might come in handy.
I will look. Hold on, real quick. Like he's talking, and I am visibly angry at this point. I look straight up at Francis and like make the "what's going on" face. Like, wait, where's my gift? Like that sort of. Wait a minute. This man is of terrible breeding.
I'm trying to think how to politely communicate this without pissing everyone off.
I won't be pissed. That helps.
He kind of continues rambling on about how it's great to have people of such skill, and it's just blatant flattery at this point.
I ignore it and get back on my horse.
He's using honeyed words, and as he sees you go for your horse,
giant lizard.
Yes, your giant lizard. He says, war is such a terrible thing. The victories are rarely worth the cost. And you can tell without even making a roll that he doesn't necessarily believe what he's saying. He's just throwing out statements to kind of gauge your reaction. Do you give him anything? Like, it's pretty obvious what he's doing.
No, fuck him. He doesn't have a gift for me. He's not worth my time. He doesn't care about the presentation that he gives the world. He doesn't care about who his minions, he doesn't care that his minions don't know anything or that know, what's going on. In Mason's mind, I clearly displayed my heraldry. Mm-hmm. I'm obviously an ordained knight. I would not kill somebody with a dagger in such a manner that it would be beneath me. And this man had me tackled by his underlings and refused to give me a gift. This man is dead to me.
I love it. He actually has a great instinct, and I can't use it right now because it hasn't triggered.
Yes. So when I noticed the fact that Mason is just essentially ignoring him and walking away, while explaining the knife to him, and while I noticed that, I'm just gonna while I have when I eventually get the knife in my hand to show him something, I just start walking away with it.
Okay. Yeah,
I know how Mason works by this point.
The Justicar seems kind of confused overall. He seems to mostly be talking to to Francis, because Francis is a lord, and the other lord, or the knight, who the other person of nobility, has turned his back on him and walked away. So
By the way, I'm seeing all this and letting it happen because I don't like this guy either. So
we're the best at this.
So I'm just like, yes, just watching as they take the knife away and starts walking away. Very good, yes.
He kind of sees that this is kind of going downhill, and he doesn't play it off like he's annoyed by the whole thing. He kind of just shouts over, perhaps later tonight, after we've all had a chance to get the lay of the land, we can meet again. Oh, and I did.
Perhaps it should be the morning. Perhaps it should be the morning to give you extra time to remember your pleasantries, Lord Justicar.
If it's pleasantries you seek, then I'm be more than welcoming to bring you back to Wayhaven. I'm unfortunately out of my element at the moment. I have nothing to offer for such kindness.
While all this is going on, because I've been completely skimmed over, I imagine because of who I am, which I like, does he have workers as part of his caravan, like driving wagons, stuff like that?
Yes, he has a long baggage line, way more shit than he should even have.
So as you guys turn to leave, you realize the abbot isn't even there, and you look around for him. He's already sitting on the side of the road with the workers, pouring beer for them and talking them up.
The workers are declining your drinks. They've broken out wine and they've offered you wine instead. It's a very expensive wine.
But it is not as
It
good as
comes
what
from
you
Alt
make.
Edge.
It is swell.
This dude has just insulted literally everybody in this party in 5 minutes.
And his minions literally insulted you by offering you a worse drink.
To give you an idea, people from Alt Edge have lavish taste. They're ambitious and proud.
They're wrong.
By the way,
what
Jeremy, when
Tom
you get
got from helping
sorry.
was that the banner is made out of high quality silks.
Well, okay. Well, my main goal here is to just while the discussion is going on, just strike up small talk with them, see whatever information I can gain about the Lord, like offhand comments, like basic common people stuff, just from the people who work from him. Like trying to get past the whole, we're trying to, not say anything bad about him.
Yeah, let's take a look at your skills and figure out what we could roll then. Do you have any skill that stands out to you as something that you would want to use? Persuasion is religious persuasion, and I think that would be okay.
Yeah, because basically I'm exchanging religious pleasantries of meeting someone on the road, which is a very important thing in my order. So to do the, how do I do the roll on this? So I click on the die.
On that die 6. It'll ask you if anyone's helping you. From the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like anybody's in a position to really help you right now.
Yeah,
that would be the modifier for the input value?
Correct.
Okay, so I just submit at 0?
Correct. And then it will ask you, do you want to use Artha? This is where you can spend that point, but keep in mind it's your only point for this session. So use it wisely is my suggestion.
Could I fork Soothing Platitudes?
You absolutely can fork Soothing Platitudes. In that case, you have a bonus of 1.
So, okay.
And then your difficulty, this is the go, no go. Once I tell you the number, I can't stop.
Yep.
It's a 1 because these guys are willing to talk. They've been on the road a long time. They haven't met too many travelers, and they haven't stopped for very long.
3 versus 1.
So with the 3, you are able to kind of talk with them and chit chat, and it's going completely unnoticed by the Lord Justicar. He's continuing to kind of like issue slime and pleasantries is kind of the best way to describe what he's doing. But his men are not much better. They're very proud. They offhandedly insult your wine and your beer and offer you wine instead. And it's one of those like, oh, we don't drink beer because it's not as good as wine. Here's the best wine that we have to offer. And then they spend most of their time chit-chatting, being proud of their products and things like that. They kind of go back and forth, and there is some rumors that you're able to gather as far as like the crimes and things like that. But this is commoners talking, so they're trying to do it in whispered tongues. But they tell you that that they believe that that a local sellsword might have been who did the assassinations, or at least that's what the Lord Justicar believes.
A local sellsword of where the assassination happened?
Oh, yes, of course. You know how nobles are. They don't like to solve their own problems or carry their own luggage. Why would they commit their own crimes? Of course, he hired a sellsword.
From the context, are they talking about their lord?
It sounds like they're talking about the Duke that is in charge, or excuse me, not the Duke, the Viscount that's in charge of Howester Fort. You know him as Viscount Alexandre Arana.
Of the same country or the other country?
It's of Ethabend.
Okay, the other one.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm about to reveal him, because you guys will have him now.
Okay, once they drop a piece of information like that, because it's kind of juicy, I'll just drop it completely and just soothe them and just exchange pleasantries still, so I can always just come back to them and just set precedents that they're willing to talk to me.
Yeah, and you will get a little bit more, because there is one who's who's faithful that does accept your offer of beer. If you want to talk to him further, that's the only one that actually is like accepting of your gift, and it seems to understand the value of like why you're offering it. He does like a little, because our religion here is kind of like a Catholic analog. He does kind of like the crossing yourself thing, but it's what would be appropriate to the church. Which, if you want to make that up now, we can, or we can just say that he does it and we come back to it later.
I'll give it some thought.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to it later. But he does like the holy symbol of the Lord must be looking out for me kind of thing, the Hail Mary.
All right, I'll keep talking to him, and once our discussion is done with whatever else he's telling me, I'll give him the traveler's blessing of my order.
His name is Pieter, and Pieter is he's actually from the border of your homeland and Aldhedge. He's kind of grown up with kind of a mixed cultural background, but you can tell that he's very religious, which is a little bit out of norm for the people of Aldhedge. Of course, they pay service to the church and they say that they're religious, but nobody's really quite as pious as like your people or even the people of the Holy Land. Pieter, he kind of leans over and he says, "Brother, I've heard that there are stories of a temple and an orphanage being destroyed by spellcraft. I don't know who would have done such a thing, but the Lord Justicar seems to think that Alexandre Arana, Viscount Alexandre Arana is behind it, but I can't see him being behind it. Honestly, and he kind of leans in and he says, I'm afraid that it's a ploy. That Duke Simon Leroux may be the one behind it. You know Duke Simon Leroux as the person who's in charge of Wayhaven. He's been called lazy and insane by his contemporaries.
From my knowledge, where was the orphanage? Is it Wayhaven or somewhere in the Holy Lands?
Let me look to see if I named where the orphanage is. Because if not, it's in Swordbreak Village, because that's where most things are. Okay, the people that survived are in Swordbreak Village, but the temple was actually just a little north of that on a hill.
Okay. There is no greater sin than violence against children, those who live free and without responsibility of their future. Believe that justice will come from our good Lord.
Clericus, please do not include my name in your report. I'm afraid of the punishment that my family would receive. To even mention against one's lord is to face the executioner's block.
All men have the same face in the eyes of the Lord. And he'll make his blessing to him.
Okay. He doesn't seem eased because you never said officially that you were going to leave his name out of the report.
Sorry.
So
when I see that he continues to be uneased.
I was going to say, he seems good about telling you. Like, he feels relieved. Like, he got something off of his chest, but he doesn't seem happy with the results. It's kind of like somebody who got out of confession and just confessed that they did a lot of terrible things.
Mm-hmm. No harm will come to you.
He nods and he gives like a one last little Hail Mary thing, and he reaches in his pocket and he says, "Brother, there's been enough war in the Holy Land, so I'm sure it's not much, but I'm sure you can put it to use." And he hands you a few copper coins. It's not much. This is probably this guy's pay for the day.
Okay. I'll tell him politely. I have been given everything I need for this journey. The greatest gift to me would be knowing that you are returning home to see the beautiful family you have mentioned to me.
Thank you, brother, but at least take something. And he brings back most of the coins, but he gives you like 2 coins instead of the 5 that he was trying to give you.
I will take that and say that it will go towards aiding travelers at the Abbey.
Thank you. And should I get the chance before I return, I would like to see your Abbey. And he kind of smiles, and you know that it's it probably won't happen for him. He goes where his lord goes. If the Justicar says to go to the Abbey, that's the only time he'll go there.
Well, climb to the tallest hill you can find, look around, and imagine golden fields of wheat, and you will be there in heart.
He nods and lets you kind of go back to your business. And as you walk by, we get kind of the closing scene of Lord Justicar attempting to talk to you, and he says, "Oh, and I saw Baron Santos. He passed me on his way to Hallister Fort, and he didn't seem inclined to slow down. If you would like, my offer still extends. You can come with me to Wayhaven and begin the investigation, or you can attempt to go after him, or we can split ways. Either way, I feel like we should gather in a central location. According to my reports, it seems that your Abbey might be the best location. Does that seem amenable to you?"
This is the Lord? Okay, so he has
Yeah,
realized who I am. He just chose to completely skim over me anyway.
Yeah, he skimmed over you until the end, and then he realized that you were there, and then he goes, "Your Abbey."
He looks a little embarrassed then.
No, the Justicar does not. He's playing it off like completely honeyed words, bullshitting you.
Like,
okay, yeah.
This guy's got kind of like a used car salesman feel.
I feel it best if we split ways. I don't think we have anything to offer one another. Okay,
before you guys go further, I do want to give you kind of a quick thing here. So there's 3 investigation teams. You are the investigation team from the Holy Land. There's one from Aldhedge, and there's one from Ethabend. He is going to meet with the Lord Justicar is from Aldhedge. He's going to meet with the Aldhedge criminals and investigate them. The person from Ethabend is going to meet with the Ethabend criminals and investigate them. If you guys branch off and go on your own, you may be able to get some information on your own without the other teams possibly contaminating the scenes. But if you go with one of them, you may stop them from contaminating evidence that might be at Wayhaven or Fort Hallister.
Well, specifically, I was thinking of not going with this guy because he's an ass. And I was going to suggest we go after the Baron then.
Well, where's this exchange happening? So once they meet, they have prisoners of the other side, and they'll be investigating while they're together?
Yes, basically you're going to have a couple days to investigate privately, and then you'll come together as a council at the Abbey and pass judgment. But there will be a meeting of the investigative parties. Pretty much this evening is what it says inside the letter. If you guys choose to not to ignore it, that's your choice. But the idea is that you will all meet this evening at the Abbey to let them ask you questions about the Holy Land since they're new in the area, have a dinner, and then go about your investigations. It's a niceties meeting is what it is.
All right. So nothing will happen until we meet at the Abbey, right? As far as investigation goes, or
you guys can investigate without. I mean, there's nothing that's saying specifically you have to wait for that.
So you're saying that if we travel with them, we could question the prisoners they have with them now?
Yep. Well, you could go to Aldhedge, or sorry, Wayhaven, and speak with the people that are accused of crimes and that are from the Aldhedge.
All the criminals are at Wayhaven.
There are some there. The ones from Aldhaven, or Aldhedge, rather. Duke Simon Leroux and Duchess Constance Leroux are there. They are the people that are in charge of the army that is maybe partially responsible for some of this stuff. However, the Baron is going to investigate the people from Ethebend, which includes Viscount Alexandre Arana, who's in charge of the Ethebend troops here, also accused of crimes.
Okay, and they're doing that before they come to the Abbey.
Yes. Basically, they're going to their home turf, trying to get their story straight so that they can then go to you guys, because you guys are the judges.
Okay, so when Francis says they have nothing, we have nothing to contribute with each other, I'll finally join back with the group and say, "Oh, of course we do. We are travelers sharing the same purpose. Let us also share the road."
It's like,
Why?
I love how he says this, and then the whole rest of the party's like, "No."
My companions, the purpose that Timotei has laid before us is here. Let us travel with those we are going to be working with, and let us establish a rapport with them. For they are also traveling to meet the others. The council from, the investigators from, was it Aldhedge was the other one?
The Lord Justicar is from Aldhedge. He's going to Wayhaven to investigate the crime scenes from Wayhaven.
Where they're meeting the
other investigation team is going to meet you for dinner at the Abbey. Basically, all investigation teams will be at dinner for the Abbey tonight.
We're having a choice here. Then in that case,
you basically have enough time if you would like to either A, go to the Abbey and just fuck off for the rest of the day, B, go with Aldhedge investigation team and investigate the Aldhedge business, C, go investigate the Ethebend business, or D, go investigate your own business.
Who is the Duke with?
The Duke is from Wayhaven. He is from Aldhedge.
We need to go with the Aldhedge people.
He's fairly well known in this area. You guys know him for being lazy, cruel, and kind of belligerent is the best way to put it.
I assume that fuckhead Lord Justicar can't hear what we're saying.
Yeah, you guys could space yourselves out so that he would be privy to your conversation.
Okay.
He will be annoying on the road though. Like as you space yourself out, he'll start to slow down so that he can get a little closer to you. Like you'll catch him and then he'll speed up a little bit. Like he's obviously trying to peer in on your conversation.
So I would tell you that we need to go to wherever the Duke is. I'm sorry, I already forgot the name. Aldhaven.
Wayhaven for Duke Simon Leroux.
But Aldahar, whatever.
It's Aldhedge, yeah.
Aldhedge. Yeah, we need to go.
This is the fun part about playing.
I would like to try to sway the Lord to also. Are the two commissions not allowed to interact with each other at all?
There's nothing in the rules that say that they can't.
I would like to invite him to also dine with us at the Abbey.
He has already been invited to that.
Yeah.
Oh, and he refused?
No, he wants to.
No, we're all going to meet up at the end of today, like us, both delegations at the Abbey.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So mostly, like our choice right now is like, who do we want to hang out with till then?
Yep.
The forces of the Duke.
Yeah, and in general, to do that, we need to keep hanging out with this guy, or at least go in the same direction.
I was going to say, you guys could go a separate direction than this guy if you really don't want to deal with him at all. But he's following the shortest route to get to the Duke.
Yeah. So,
you know why I say that, right?
I would like to hear your opinion.
So, from a military standpoint, the Duke was the defender in this war. The Viscount was seeking retribution and was okayed by the church.
Mhm.
The Duke is known as a lazy, wavering man who is not very adept at these matters. His men, though took losses at first, were very adaptable and started to win a war that they probably shouldn't have been able to come back with, considering their leadership from the top. That strikes me as the most puzzling problem from where I'm standing. I want to understand if we have accusations of dark magics being involved and assassinations, it is likely to come from the side that shouldn't have won but did.
So I'm asking this again, but the assassination and the orphanage, were those anywhere near Wayhaven?
They're about a half a day's ride from Wayhaven for the orphanage, and the assassination happened in Wayhaven.
Yeah, so I'm sticking with my original.
Or hold on 1 second, because I got to make sure that my crimes are correct, because there's a ton of crimes that are happening here. The assassination, yes, happened in Wayhaven.
Really?
I'll
It says
share
House
that.
of Fort.
So there's news I definitely wish to attend to in Wayhaven, and I think it would be best if we stay with our new traveling companions.
I'm sorry, it did happen in Hallister Fort. I have two lists of crimes, the ones you guys can see and the ones that actually have the solved answers here, and I did not correct on my master list. It happened at Hallister Fort.
Which is in one of the other countries?
That's Ethabins. Yep.
Okay.
As I said, we are in agreement. This guy works for the Duke. The Lord Justicar works for the Duke.
Yeah, this guy seems fishy as shit. The Duke does, anyways.
And
the Duke should not technically have won the battles that he did. He started winning. A church was burnt down that both parties say that the other one's responsible for. And then the opposite team got an assassin sent to their castle, which sounds more like the Duke's general tactics, according to what Mason's telling you.
Yeah.
Shit messed up.
We shall follow these men.
How recently did the orphanage get burned down?
God, no. Tomate, no. You are not starting an orphanage.
No, I'm not.
It's probably been a week.
I could use apprentices.
So it was near Wayhaven. Isn't anywhere near the road?
The orphanage, there is a road that goes to it, but the orphanage is built on top of like a hill, so it's a little bit out of the way.
If we were to say stop by the orphanage, would we have still have time to make it back to the Abbey at the end of the day?
You could either go to Wayhaven, the orphanage, or to Fort Hallister, or any of the other. You basically can only make it to one crime scene out of those list of attentions that you have. Tell me which one you want to investigate.
The church seems the most pressing to me. That is not only defiling the house of Tomate, but spitting directly in the face of all those that worship.
Yeah, religiously speaking, the bigger grievances are the orphanage burning down with black magic, the funeral of the saint, and the dye production.
Marshall?
Yep.
Can you speak to the little people that travel with with the Lord Justicar? They know some things that maybe they will be happy to share with someone of lower standing.
We should find someone of lower standing then. I'm not a dwarf yet.
We all stand on the same earth. And he gives you a wink.
I meant by birth.
By birth. That doesn't teach anybody anything. It's what
No,
you do
it
in
does
life
not.
It's what you do in life that matters.
I agree 110%, but these top worlders think different.
You know, I'm from the top world myself, right?
But you learn from dwarves who dwell under it.
Ooh, that's a good point. Your dwarven master fully believes that there are people in the jungle because he knows it.
I know. That's why I'm accepting of his thoughts,
Mhm.
of Mason's thoughts. That's why I'm like, I'm not questioning when he says top worlder. I understand that immediately. I know exactly what he means by that.
I just made that term up, by the way.
Top worlder.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mason, what have I told you in the past about attributing people to stereotypes? I've already learned today
That
that
statistics.
not all that while some statistics might be validated, there are always those that lie outside them. I've already learned so today.
Doesn't sound like a churchy way to say that.
I agree, which is why I'm having a very trusted advisor, a blacksmith, speak with their low people who may not understand that someone that should have the same social ranking as they do is a trusted advisor.
I haven't disagreed with a thing you've said, just how you've presented it.
Yes, Abbott. Enjoy your pedantic ramblings while we continue.
So where
I
are
intend
we
to.
going? Because that's all I've been asking for.
The
Yeah,
church!
Yeah, I've just been watching these guys argue for like 5 minutes.
So you travel with Lord Jacquemin, and then Jacquemin turns down the road to go to Wayhaven, and he says, "Then I will see you this evening." And he parts ways with you, does not attempt to follow you over to the Temple of the Bleeding Sister or anything like that.
As we pass, I turn to Francis and say, maybe your contacts in Wayhaven could offer some information.
He takes a sort of breath in between his teeth. Perhaps.
Great, Lord Justicar.
Ugh.
Yes.
My companion here, Lord Morgan, will be traveling with you back to Wayhaven.
Excellent. I do enjoy the company of a fellow, and he kind of scoots over on the bench to his carriage to give you room.
I whispered to Mason, like, what can that really mean?
Be quiet, or you'll go with them and find out.
Yeah. I shoot you a dirty look before I look at the Justicar. It's like, if it's all the same, I shall remain on my steed. It would not do not to use the fine creature here at the church provided for me.
Of course. And the two of you will head down the road to Wayhaven. Let's do the temple first, and then we'll come back into Wayhaven. So, on your way to the temple, you see a dark featured man. He looks like he is from Aldhedge. On the road, he's carrying a staff that's kind of twisted, and he wears these dark green robes with a trim of gold on them. He's standing outside of the what used to be the temple, kind of digging through the smoldering remains of the temple like he's looking for something.
I will walk up to greet him. Are his vestments religious?
Yes, they are. As you get closer, you realize that he's a monk.
If that is the case, I will also dismount to present myself.
What order would is this like the vestments of a specific order of monks?
Not particularly. It looks like he hasn't been assigned an order just yet. That he is on a pilgrimage.
All right, I will approach him, and I will also give him the same greeting I gave the noble before, the traditional one for my order.
What was that greeting again?
It was
Ma wop neep nop mini bomb.
yes.
That.
Our roads have been long and weary. Let us stop here and breathe.
Yeah, you say our roads have been long and weary. He completes it by saying the other half. And it's like reflex. Like you'll see this from people who go to church. Like when they say like part of a psalm, and then the whole church responds with the other half automatically. That's what he does, and then he looks up from the rubble, and you can see that there are tears streaking his face. He's got all this dust all over it, and he's just been digging through the pile of rubble. He's found broken toys and things like that. He's right now he's dug out of bed, and I kind of warned all you guys, just as a reminder, there is an X card button if I ever get to describing anything that you guys don't want me to describe. It's okay. Hit that button. That lets me know to continue. He has found the corpse of a small child.
You continue if you hit the X button?
I will stop if you hit the X button.
Oh, okay. I don't know where the X button is.
If you look at your names on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see something that says the X card. If you click that, it will send a whisper to me. No one else will see it, just me. And then I will finish the scene pretty much right there and say, hey, we're going to move past this area. I'm not going to go super deep into this one, but basically there is the body of a burnt child underneath this wreckage, and he's been weeping over it. Forgive me, brother. And he kind of like wipes the tears away, but remember, he's covered in like soot and ash, so he's just making his face worse. There's these big black streaks down it. It's getting in his face. This guy's kind of a mess. Forgive me, brother. I'm Clericus Toby Jacobin. And he starts weeping again. You hear the sounds of more monks calling out, or excuse me, not monks, nuns calling out, and the sisters run over, and one of them picks up the clericus and kind of sits him down on a stonework, while three others are digging through the rubble to remove the child. The woman that steps forward, she says, "Forgive him, brother. He's seen a lot in the last few days. I'm Sister Elizabeth. Forgive me that the temple is in no service to be able to provide any sort of aid or travel expenses or anything."
No, there is no need, and also no need for forgiveness. I am also here in service of the Lord.
Of course. She kind of like softly smiles.
You have gone through much, and others have gone through, and the others have gone through terrible things. We are here to find the truth of things and make things, while they can never be right again, make sure this does not happen in the future. And
she kind of perks up and she goes, "Are you from the church? Did they send you? We requested aid."
Yes. Before I go further, I did come up with a name for the abbey. I would like it to be Tumblestone Abbey.
Okay.
Yes, I am Abbot. I just forgot my name.
Ansel.
I am Abbot Ansel of Tumblestone Abbey. I have been commissioned by the church.
She performs one of those Hail Marys and she says, "Thank Tomate. It was a mess out here, and the clericus who's kind of lost himself, he's been washed. The nuns have cleaned him up a little bit, and he stands up almost like defiantly, and He's still has tears coming down his face, and he says, the armies, they were hiding in Swordbreak, and that was until Ethelbin burned them out. And he starts bawling again, and he finally kind of controls himself a little bit, and he says, Ethelbin stormed the stone-walled temple and showed their lack of respect for God by ordering the monks out. I tried to get the children out, and he starts crying again. This man can only get a couple sentences before he kind of breaks up. Are you going to let him just keep going until he spits out his story, or are you going to interject at any point?
Let him spit out his story.
Yeah, I want to hear everything he has to say without me interfering.
Okay, good. Yeah, it takes a while, and he goes through it, and he says, not Ethelbin, Aldhedge stormed the walls and ordered them out. He goes, and then Ethelbin compounded the blasphemy by destroying the temple without any attempt of negotiation. The sisters and I, we just want justice. No, I don't want justice. I want them to suffer as these children did. And he just kind of like shows his hand to where the child used to be.
Okay, so
if only my faith were stronger, I would show Ethelbin and Aldhedge that this is not the way. And you know that he means like bringing divine judgment on them.
Brother, what is your name?
I'm Clericus Toby Chuckerman. I've been assigned here to act as protector for the sisters.
I turn to the abbot and I mouth the word Jackaman, and
his eyebrows are already raised.
So that I do want to touch on the world, kind of like L5R, where there's like clans. That's like your nation level. So Aldhedge has a couple of noble families. Well, he is a Jackaman. They're probably not like brothers, but they are related somehow.
They have familial ties. That's important.
Exactly.
Okay, so this Clericus's story was that Aldhedge ordered all the monks out, and then
what he's saying is that
Aldhedge burned it down.
Was hiding in Swordbreak Village, which is on the other side of the hill.
Oh, the Aldhedge people were hiding?
Yes, Aldhedge were hiding soldiers in Swordbreak Village, which is just on the other side of the hill. Just past the Swordbreak is Fort Howlister. So all this stuff is really close together.
Mm-hmm.
He said then that Ethelbin burned down Swordbreak Village to get to the Aldhedge soldiers. Aldhedge soldiers moved into the temple and forced the monk and the nuns out, but didn't let the children out. Ethelbin then burned the church to get rid of the soldiers and also killed the children.
Mm-hmm.
He wants divine retribution for all of them because they're both at fault. Soldiers are not permitted into a house of nuns. That's clear and distinct church law. The punishment for like if Mason was to walk into a nunnery, the punishment for him would be, as a soldier, would be lashings. If he came without his armor and came as a person and attempted to find sanctuary, so long as he renounced his rank of being a knight and a soldier, he would be fine. That would be the only exception.
I'm going to look disgusted as he describes this.
Since you guys didn't interrupt him, he kind of, once he finally says that he wants divine retribution, after a few moments, he kind of collects himself again, and he goes, the Ethbin soldiers, they wore dark clothing so they could blend into the night. You know that Ethben soldiers have brass-colored uniforms, and that they usually carry the colors of Ethben clearly on their shoulder. What he's describing are basically people in black armor with black hoods and no colors.
Okay. I'm going to walk over to the corpse.
Mm-hmm.
So, being from the forest, I know that different woods smell differently when you burn them,
Mhm.
and they leave behind different smoky smells. I'm going to, and this may seem disgusting to some, but he's going to lean down and trying to see if there's like a special tree or something that maybe he could differentiate between the two villages. You know, maybe they made a mistake of like using a tree that grows here and not there, or something like that. Like it's so, you know, off the beaten path that this would be a thing. But as a hunter and a tracker, and you know, this seems like something that I feel like he might.
Yeah, I like that. I'm pulling up perception because it doesn't look like it's on your skill list. We're going to learn how you learn skills now.
Yay!
So, on your page,
Perception is a skill ability, is an ability, not a skill.
Or not perception. I didn't mean to say that one.
I have fire building.
There you go. You know how to build fires.
Yeah, you could roll fire building. That would be acceptable.
I also have foraging. I will ask the dwarf who is used to burning wood for assistance if he's ever noticed the different smells of wood when they burn.
I mean, you know I'm not a dwarf, right?
You always refer to yourself as a dwarven smith.
Yeah, but you don't usually call me a dwarf. This is odd for you.
Yep, it is.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk about that later.
So yes, fire building. I will accept that as a good skill for it. I believe that Marshall may also have fire building.
I do not have fire building.
Okay.
Where's my?
I mean, I've other than like blacksmith and whitesmith. Since I do know how to build forges, and I do know carpentry pretty well. Those ones I know that might be able to fit pretty well with that.
Let's see here. I could say your blacksmithing ability would probably be enough for you to be able to help at least.
Yeah.
So, I don't actually have fire building as a skill. It's a skill that
You can taken. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, what we're going to do is fire building you happen to have on your list, which is great because we can look at it already. Looks like fire building uses perception.
Yeah.
You're going to roll a perception roll.
Okay.
Your penalty for rolling a skill that you are not trained in is double. Or sorry, not your penalty, your op to do it. Your obstacle is going to be double. What you're going to do is on your character sheet, once we get done with this, put being learned, add one of those, and then put fire building on there.
Okay. I'm trying to roll the perception, but every time I do, it doesn't bring up the... Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Okay.
So modifiers, am I at a +1 or +2 with foraging and martial?
You cannot fork when you're learning.
Okay.
But here's the good part is, Marshall, you are also considered learning this skill because you're helping.
Ooh, so I can add that.
Yeah, so it's actually good to help each other when you're learning stuff. Just wanted to point that out.
So base obstacle is?
You said fire building the perception thing?
Your base obstacle is going to be... it would be 2, but it's going to be doubled, so it's going to be a 4. More than likely, you are not going to succeed this. That's just how it's going to be.
3 to 4.
Okay.
Came close.
So, yep, that's actually pretty close there. So, I'm trying to find the learning new skill. Here we go. Blah, blah, blah. aptitude. So aptitude is 10 minus the root of that stat. So take the number 10 and subtract your perception from that.
My perception is 4.
Or, wait, yeah, perception, because that's what uses fire building. So you need 6 tests to be able to advance fire building.
Okay.
My perception is
You have 10
5.
dots there. What I would do is just fill in 4 of the dots.
Yep.
And then fill in a 5th one because you just rolled one.
Got it.
Hold on. Where do we? So,
Oh, never mind. I see how the character sheet does it. You see that bubble that says 6? That means how many is left for you to learn it. Just fill in 1 dot, and then when you get to 6 dots black, you've learned it.
Okay.
And then for Jeremy,
yeah.
I'm pulling your sheet right now. So in the being learned section, click add.
Maybe.
It's underneath your skills.
I see it.
Yeah.
I actually like that way of learning skills.
Yep.
Perception.
And then
I have
it's
a 5.
perception. So you have 5 left. You'll click 1 black dot, meaning that you just 1 black dot. And when you get to 5 black dots, you've learned fire building, and it goes up to the top section.
Okay, I get it. Nice.
Wow, you've got a high perception, actually, Marshall.
Yeah, I do.
I did not realize that.
I have pretty decent stats.
All right, cool. So the wood seems like it's from this area. What wood they used, you're not entirely certain. It doesn't seem like any wood has been added here.
Okay.
That's kind of what you're able to get out of it, but getting anything more accurate, this area's been so damaged that it's hard to get a whole lot of detail out of it.
Okay. I'm going to draw my dagger and just kind of move the rubble around and see what I can find.
Yeah, you're able to find what really looks like a building that has fallen over. There's, broken beds.
I'm actually looking for something specific.
Okay, what are you looking for specifically?
So, false flags operations, which this could be, typically involve needing the uniforms or arms and armor of another of the enemy, which would leave telltale signs on the fact that you've taken them. The arms and armor wouldn't be fitted, first off. They typically would be run either big or small. Usually, especially with armor, it's going to be very difficult to fit it properly.
Right.
We have a blacksmith with us, so we can tell if something's been fit post being made. Like, oh, this was fit and it's not correctly fit on the body, so hammer, hammer, hammer. Okay, it fits now.
Yeah, something that was quickly added. I get what you're saying.
So I'm looking for some of the corpses that were soldiers.
Yeah, it doesn't take you too long. You're able to find one. So how would you like to look at this, Marshall, to go over it? You have like a wise or a skill that would work out well for you?
Hold on. What's up?
I have field dress.
That is for like field dressing, like first aid.
Oh, okay. Never mind that then. Soldier wise would be the only thing that I could think of.
You said you wanted Marshall to take a look at it though. So
it depends on like what on the body I'm looking at. Like, am I looking at the weapon?
Yeah. So now that you've looked at it, let's talk about this soldier here. He is wearing the kind of armor that you'd expect a scout to wear. It's light armor that has been beveled. It's a light leather armor that's been beveled with the markings that show Aldhedge on it.
Yeah.
It used to probably be like crested in gold, like gold leaf where the embezzlement was.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Looking at the leather here, leather is easier to do like armor modifications to, but the good part about leather is it it doesn't really burn as well as other materials. So you've got a lot of stuff to look at here. The way for you to be able to tell this is to like really pull it out, open it up, check stitching, that sort of thing. Your mending skill would actually be really good for you to use on this.
Yeah, I was thinking that or appraisal, but I'll go with mending because I this is before you started saying about the leather. But yeah, mending, I'll go with that.
Okay. This one's a pretty easy check, but the fire is going to increase the obstacle to it. So I'm going to say it's a 2 for this.
May I assist him with soldier wise on like modifications a soldier might make in the field type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So because I haven't actually rolled yet, how am I doing this exactly?
You're going to click on the D6 that's next to the word mending.
Yep.
It'll ask you if you have any bonuses. Because Murdoch's going to be helping you, he's going to give you a bonus.
Of 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's his
and then
input.
Murdoch, should you care to learn mending, you can count this as a learning hit.
His modifiers 1. Artha 0.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're using soldier wise to help him. So no, this won't count as helping him for that. Or learning for mending.
So base obstacle you said was 2?
Yeah, it's going to be 2.
And all right. 4 versus 2.
Awesome. So looking at it, there has been some modifications done, but what Mason's going to help you out with is Mason's going to point out that like this slit that's underneath the armpits is soldiers modify their leather armor like that so that it can breathe. It doesn't help them. It's actually very foolish to do because it creates an opening for them to get attacked from.
Yeah.
But you can tell that this is a field alteration. Somebody stuck a knife in here, opened a slit in the armpit so that the jacket could breathe. But other than that, it doesn't really look like there's any modifications to this. This jacket was made for this person.
Yeah. I'll so Mason, I mean, the only thing outside the normal is the little slit here, but I mean, you're probably used to that.
Yeah, I give you the explanation.
Yeah, you know that's not a good idea, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Other than that, there's not much beyond this. I mean, this was definitely made for this person.
One last thing we need to figure out. This is going to sound really dark real quick. How burnt is the corpse of the enemy underneath the leather?
Underneath the leather, it's not nearly as bad. He looks like he was cooked in there, not that he was burned necessarily. The leather did the job that it should do, which is protect him from the fire a little bit.
Field dressing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I determine his race, or not race, but heritage of the corpse?
Not with field dressing. That would be outside of what you could do. Any other like advanced healing skills from anybody else might be able to help that.
Have I ever seen the abbot perform healing work, like doctor work? Like this, obviously we accept sick people into the abbey, but
yes.
Okay. I'll go walk over to the abbot. I assume you're what's it called? Consoling this brother.
I'm actually now that he's
regained,
given his story without interruption, I start doing an actual investigation, going in on the details, making sure the sisters aren't part of the conversation, and getting a full story from him. And after I was done talking to him, I was going to do a cross investigation on the sisters, and by harping on details, suss out the things that they haven't agreed with each other on and find the real facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the middle of you doing all that, so that way we don't complicate like jump scenes if we're okay with that, I'm just going to kind of walk over to the abbot and say, Abbot Ansel, may I please get your assistance over here? I'll assume you're with like the nuns at that time.
Yeah.
Sisters, I am very sorry, and I bow my head.
They let you go back to what you're doing. You notice that mostly what they're doing is they're trying to recover bodies from this thing. So the good news is they're pulling out another soldier for you to look at.
Also, while they're doing this and I'm talking to them, I'm helping them as they do it. That's one of my little things.
Can you determine the race of these? I'll like point out 3 soldiers or whatever. Can you determine their heritage based on skin?
It's a soldier. I will immediately look for religious talismans because I know soldiers are very superstitious. Well, not superstitious, but a lot of them can be very. They want to hold some piece of their religion with them as they travel. Could a religious history be good for that?
Yeah, religious history would be. Religious history is more about like past events, not necessarily like artifacts of religion. Unless
Doctrine?
you're looking for like the Holy Grail or something like
Doctrine, ritual.
Doctrine, I think, would be good.
Okay.
So doctrine kind of works like a wise. Basically, if you roll this, you can be like, all faithful soldiers carry the cross of Saint Justin or something like that. And then what you would do is look for that. And
Aldhedge citizens tend to be much more faithful, correct? Or was it Ethabend?
Aldhedge pays lip service.
Lip service, okay.
Yeah. Ethabend is very faithful.
Okay.
To give you an idea, Ethabend has a law in their country that all people must be baptized in a river that Tomati baptized people in.
Okay, so mainly I'm looking for things that would differentiate between the two based on how they observe religion as soldiers.
Actually, if you do religion, you could say that, if you do doctrine, you could actually say something along the lines of Ethabend soldiers have to be baptized, which means that they would all carry some sort of mark from the church.
And may I fork ritual then?
Absolutely.
May I give him help with soldier-wise, where a soldier might keep such a pendant?
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that.
Also, I have a question as I'm now standing around kind of like, go right in there, looking around. Do I see any corpses of dogs?
They haven't been pulled yet.
The dogs should have been with their soldiers.
These are scouts, mind you.
Scouts
don't always have dogs.
All good soldiers have their dog.
Yes.
This was a soldier-wise that was rolled in the beginning.
Yes. I will say, though, that not all scouts carry dogs because most people understand that soldiers do carry dogs. So a good scout that's undercover wouldn't have their dog. Which means that there's like a dozen dogs without their masters right now.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the obstacle here?
The obstacle is let's see, it's pretty believable. So let me pull up Doctrine real quick here. So the cool thing is I can check to see what we should say that skill difficulty will be. Maybe. Here we go, Doctrine. Common popular belief, citing relevant passages from religious texts, naming a specific saint. I think this is probably about the same level of hardness that citing a specific passage from religious text would be. Because they definitely have some sort of religious text that says...
Could I use ritual instead and fork doctrine?
Let's look at ritual real quick. Yes. So the obstacles that I have here are coming of age, wedding, funerary rites, and consecrating grounds as examples, and I have to kind of draw a parallel. Actually, baptism is on here. So yes, I would suggest going ritual because it's easier.
I will absolutely do that.
Okay. Since this is we're using this in conjunction with a wise, I will up the op to a 2.
Okay.
Performing in a baptism would be a 1, but knowing a specific baptism right to a different country, we're going to say that's a 2.
Okay. Ritual.
So you'll click ritual. You've got 1 for forking.
And 1 from Murdoch.
And 1 from Murdoch. And you guys can fork multiple skills. So if you do have another one that works, like history would be a great one here.
Religious history?
Religious history specifically, yes.
Okay. So I'm up
that's
to
three.
three input,
Mhm.
and that's everything I have.
Okay.
Okay. No Artha and obstacle 2. 3 to 1. Or no, reading the wrong one. 2 to 2.
Perfect. So that hits it. Then yes. How do you want to say this? Like, is it like I said that basically there is a law that says that all soldiers must be baptized?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is extremely common for faithful soldiers to hold a certain charm to a particular saint.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, I think the charm would be probably for Saint Radolf, since he's protection in dogs as what his stuff is. So it's probably like a Saint Christopher charm, like the little coin looking kind of charm. Murdoch, since you rolled soldier wise as to where it would be located, where would they keep something like this?
A charm like that, if they are particularly devout, like myself, for example, that has faith, you would keep it in your boot, so it did not get damaged in combat. If they're not specifically devout, they may keep it in like a chest pocket, a breast pocket underneath their leather armor.
Okay. So, kind of searching through the normal places, you go through the bodies here. Ethabin soldiers would carry this. These soldiers do not have them. You are able to find kind of like the universal sign of the faithful on one of the bodies, which a cross doesn't really make sense for the kind of church that we've established, but maybe it's like a star.
It's a picture of Tom's face.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being like just a simple like star on an iron chain is what like the standard
It's a Buddy Tom
thing has.
Okay, so these are supposed to be Altedge soldiers, and this is telling us that this would fit Altedge people.
Yeah, this is what you would expect from Althedge, because if they were Ethabin soldiers in disguise, they would have some sort of religious markers on them.
I would believe that these are Altedge soldiers. And as he's going, he's also part of the whole ritual thing is he's giving them some form of last rites.
Okay.
To give them last rites is its own thing.
I can.
This world does have unsanctified and sanctified dead existing in it. So if you don't want ghosts, you might want to perform some last rites.
I'll do it at the end, along with the rest of the religious folk.
That's a good call.
I will look at you as you begin to give, or you're starting to be like, I should give them last rites, and I'll say, they don't deserve it. And I'll spit at the corpse.
He'll nod and he'll walk back towards the nuds, very somber.
I'll walk with you and start helping you to pull all the bodies, because I know regardless of whether I want to do it or not, you're going to be here all day doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I will continue my cross-examination with the nuns and just try to glean what information I can out of it.
I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to use latrine.
Okay. The check you were going to do is interrogation. And it uses, let me find it here, because the Justicar happens to have that skill, so that makes it easy.
I do not have it.
Yeah, you're going to add it to your learning list. It uses will.
Okay.
So you're going to click on the will on your character sheet there.
Okay. The die?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like you have any help, but this might be an opportunity for like spending Artha if you wanted to.
I was gonna say
Can
I
I
can help with
An
haggling.
extra die.
I know how to talk to people.
Uh,
I'll play the bad cop.
can I use my? I think my tonsure gives me +1 die affiliation. Is that only going to be specifically with
does
the
work.
people? Oh, it will
Any-
work here.
Any sort of affiliations that you have, you can also leverage those. So you have an affiliation with the faithful from being tonsured, right?
I think that's might be vested, which I didn't get because I went itinerant priest. I think tonsured is with my.
You have a 1 die affiliation with monastic or religious order.
Okay.
With a monastic or religious order.
Yeah.
Which you use to be related to your monk order.
Okay.
So it only works with them.
Okay. In that case, what could I fork here? Oh,
You can't fork because you're learning.
okay.
I'm telling you, if he's interrogating, I should be able to help
I
with
was gonna say,
haggling.
the only thing that can really help you here is if like Marshall decides to learn interrogation with you.
I'm totally down for that when I'm haggling.
He's a very detail-oriented person. He'd be valuable to the discussion.
Okay, cool.
So I'll add 1.
Okay.
Yes.
So is the current will exponent the person being interrogated plus any traits? Okay. Okay. Man, they have a belief that actually makes interrogating them easier.
Yes.
So this works backwards from the way it says to do this. So they have a will of 2. They have a belief that would make it easier for you by dropping the ob by 1, but your ob gets doubled, so it's back to 2. That's what your ob is.
The biggest thing is it's not a 4.
So it was about to be a 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually.
I'll take it. Okay. So 0 Artha, base obstacle 2.
Mm-hmm.
3 to 2.
Awesome. So the two of you kind of go through the nuns individually, and they're collaborating the same kind of story. There's no real indiscrepancies. The big thing is there's only 2 people that seem to know that the Ethabin soldiers were wearing all black and were not displaying their colors like they normally do. The rest of the nuns are saying it's Ethabin soldiers. Like, you gather that they've been talking to each other, and they've, as a group, decided that it was Ethabin soldiers. It had to have been, and they fully believe that.
Am I able to discern where it started from? Like, who saw them in? Am I guessing that the people who saw them in black thought they were Ethabin soldiers, or maybe the people who saw them in black didn't realize until someone else said it?
Actually, with a 3, I'll give you a little bit more. Yeah, the Clericus Jacobin is the one who really kind of was like, it has to be Ethabin soldiers. But the soldiers themselves weren't wearing anything that indicated specifically that they were from Ethabin. But the soldiers who came into the temple were definitely from Aldhedge, and Aldhedge is only fighting Ethabin right now, so it kind of makes sense. I will direct you over to your crimes list, though. There is accusations that both sides may have used mercenary forces, and this could be a mercenary group that was used.
Mm-hmm. And another point I want to go over is where the rumors of black magic came from, because I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, no, that one's easy. They tell you that they walked up, said words that sounded terrible and caused people to bleed from ears as jets of fire came out of their hands.
The people in black?
Yes. Whoever attacked, they were mages. Like, it was a squad of mages that came in this place.
That sounds like an important detail.
So they were seen up close then when they made their demands?
Yeah, all of the nuns, 100%. And you can tell that they are not lying. Will tell you the same thing, that they shot gouts of fire out of their hands.
Were they able to see their faces?
No, they were covered up by black hoods and cloth.
Eyes.
Yes, they were able to see the eyes. They will tell you that they appeared kind of pale in the parts of skin that were exposed, and they had dark eyes.
So the skin appeared kind of pale,
Mm-hmm.
but in the eyes were dark in color.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And when the soldiers fled the temple as it was burning, did they engage in combat with the Ethaben soldiers?
They attempted to, but the Ethaben soldiers turned fire on them.
That just could mean that even if it is Ethaben, they didn't know. Like, it wasn't. These soldiers weren't told about it. But what do I know?
All right.
They didn't. None of these attackers spoke at all, did they?
Not that they can recall. They do recall the chanting, and then wizard's fire.
Did they notice any discernible? They probably wouldn't. In a panic, they wouldn't notice it. I'm trying to see if they understood, like, maybe there being like a specific difference even in the chanting, just a difference in the way they spoke.
No, but now that you're asking about it, one of them says, no, I can't recall of any particular peculiarities, but when they were done with the fire, from their hands, the fire had burned back their robes, and we could see their forearms. They were pale of skin, but swarthy is kind of the best way that she can describe them.
Swarthy?
Dark and hairy.
Yeah.
That sounded vaguely racist.
It kind of is. It's how they describe Bob and Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, but that's meant to be ironic.
Uh-huh.
So what race does that description generally line up with? Is there one?
So the Aldhedge citizens have dark features. They're all black. The Ethaben, they look more like Spaniards. So if you were to attach swarthy to someone, it's probably Ethaben.
Because they would tell that if someone is more like dark complexion, there's a huge difference. They wouldn't just say swarthy; they'd say dark skinned. In that sense, at least that's how I'm taking that.
Perhaps in the commotion with their robes burning, some of the cloth could have fallen to the ground. Could you show me where they stood, where they were? Maybe there might be some signs of them left.
Yeah, the nuns will take you around the building to where the assault started. It's pretty much the same thing. It's the building's been burnt down. It's collapsed. There's some shrubs around there. After a little bit of digging, you are able to find a piece of cloth that's been burnt on both on the ends. It's a black, kind of like a wool. It's heavy.
Can I trying to figure out? Say it's a wool, but and this is only by the established rule that since it looks like we use a lot of our more beast bird and our more lizards, where'd they get wool from? So I want to see try to use mending to try to figure out if I can figure out more of the type of material it is.
Sure.
And what is it? I want it. There it goes. I'll also consult with Francis if he knows anything about the different materials. I know he works with guys, but does he work with materials?
He's not there. I was about to say.
I'm also not here.
Oh, that's right. He's not there because we walked away.
I was about to say, and this
Thank
will
you.
be of great use to Francis.
Yeah.
And
But so I'll just work with what I have. No modifiers.
I'll carefully put that away as evidence.
I don't think mending's going to really help you in this situation.
Not at all.
No, not really, because you know how to fix cloth. Like
Then
you could work
can I
with
at least
it. It's
appraisal?
definitely wool. You know that wool comes from sheep, and that sheep are a thing in the world.
Yeah.
But they're more from like the main continent. You don't really find a whole lot of sheep down here.
All right.
So there's not much sheep in Ethbend nor Althedge.
No, there's definitely some in Ethebend, but
Okay.
there's not much in the Holy Land.
Okay.
So we have some evidence of Etheben and some evidence and mixed with the swarthy look.
I would leave this one to Francis, especially since it's dyed black. From what I know of dyeing, black is not a simple matter.
No. I will take the piece of wool, and I will hold on to it for him. I'm trying to preserve as much as I can in the condition it is, so that Francis can examine it as is.
There's a bit of a pattern in the wool.
Oh,
Like the way it's been stitched, there's like a change in the stitching,
yeah.
and all you get is like this acute kind of triangle that's missing a side. It's just like, here's the torn piece of cloth or burnt piece of cloth, and then there's this.
I will show that to
Yeah.
to Mason.
Mason might understand the her.
Could
the
this
symbol.
possibly be the sign of a mercenary company?
So yeah, it's that, or I mean, it could be
Or
kind
some
of, magical symbol.
worst case scenario, yes.
If it's a magical symbol, I can investigate that myself.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, I have enchanting,
You absolutely could.
so I will do that.
Enchantment.
Yeah, I have magic stuff myself.
Enchantment.
What would be the obstacle, Chris?
I think, let's see, to identify an enchantment. Actually, don't even bother rolling. Well, actually, you do need to roll because you can advance skills and stuff too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we've been kind of not great about that.
Yeah. I wasn't exactly sure what to do with the sheet.
I know what I rolled for what I've rolled today, so I can go back.
Yeah, we'll go back and fix that in a little bit here. Let me look at enchanting real quick.
I couldn't find the rules for that in like the core book, but it does have a section in the codex.
It's enchanting.
Yeah, it's in the codex. Okay. I'm gonna say it's an odd one. It's fairly easy for you to be able to tell if it had an enchantment before.
All right. And I have 2 successes to 1.
Okay. So the way this works, you can see that those skills have a word associated with them. It's like routine, difficult, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
On your character sheets, let me pull up yours, Marshall. You'll see that it says routine there.
Yeah.
You can click a bubble whenever you do a routine check. The number to the left of that where it says 4 means that you need 4 routine checks.
Okay.
You need 2 difficult checks and 1 challenging check. If you get all that, your enchanting goes up to 5.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to take a minute and go through your skills here, I'll say which ones everybody's done.
I know I've rolled for mending and blacksmith. Well, I helped with blacksmith and I learned file burning, but mending I actually rolled.
Yes, your mending you did a routine check.
All right. And then the others, I was just me learning.
Yep. And then I don't see Murdoch. So Brendan.
I have mine recorded here. I had a suasion obstacle 1.
Routine is what you're looking for there.
Okay. Routine.
Oh, it actually says it's routine.
Yep.
What it is. So that actually
Makes it really
Murdoch
easy.
rolled perception, which was difficult, and that's it.
Yes.
Everybody else is routine.
But
Okay.
Murdoch,
Oh.
yeah. For Murdoch's perception, when he goes up to his perception, he can click one of those difficult ones.
Yeah.
And how do I add one that I'm learning?
You'll go to skills being learned, or sorry, being learned, which is underneath your skills,
just
and then you
below
click
the base
add.
skills.
Got it.
And an interrogation is the one you rolled. It's a will base.
Yep. So that's why I have it too.
Basically, the way to learn, the way to do stuff here, or to advance your skills, is to roll them.
What is the checkbox for with the number beside it in the circle?
Don't worry about the checkbox. That means open-ended.
Okay.
You guys won't have too many open-ended things that you're learning. Magic skills, for example, are always open-ended. If you learned a magic skill, that would be one.
Okay. I'm
what
all
did I
set
learn
with my
from,
skills then.
enchanting?
Okay. So Murdoch, did you hear what I said about your perception?
He's got it.
Okay, cool. And then you had a piece of fabric that you wanted Mason to look at as well.
Yeah, I was just checking for enchanting first, and then if I didn't, depending on what I found out, I mean,
You found out that this fabric is a regular piece of fabric. That it is not of high enough quality material to make enchanting fabrics.
All right, I just wanted to know if I could save Mason the trouble. So yeah, I'll bring it over to him.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we're probably done interrogating the nuns because we found we found a lot of info. The info we just to keep you updated, Mason. The info me and the abbot found. Looks like the attackers were of the magical sort. They could cast fire of some ways. I don't know exactly. They just said that they spouted fire from their hands. Though they did mention that the fire burnt themselves as well. So I have a suspicion that it might not have been magical. But beyond that, they were apparently dark eyes, kind of darker skin. Didn't seem really dark though.
No, they're pale skinned.
Pale skinned, but they were
They
kind of
have dark hair.
With dark hair.
Interesting. That means they're mercenaries.
They also used wool clothing dyed black. So kind of whatever. And I show you the piece. It kind of looks like it has a symbol on it. I mean, it doesn't look magical symbol, so maybe you might know of anything.
Chris?
Yeah.
Do I know of anything?
Nothing without rolling a skill check.
I got a soldier wise.
I was gonna say, you've been rolling soldier wise. What I'd recommend, because this game does involve heraldry, is actually opening heraldry wise. Because then you can link soldier and heraldry wise once you learn.
Start learning heraldry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got it. Perception, I assume.
Yes, it's a wise. Wises are always perceptions.
All right. I'll roll heraldry wise if you want.
Yeah.
Could religious history help in this scenario?
You can't help him. He's learning.
Oh, okay.
Not unless you have the skill he's learning.
Modifiers +0. Artha is 0. Base obstacle.
It's two for this. Well,
So
sorry.
4.
Sorry. No, I was already doubling it for 2. Do you want to know who it's specifically attached to, or do you want to know if it's attached to Ethaben? Because those are two different questions.
First one, then the other.
Okay, then I will say that your difficulty is a 4 because you'll need both. You're asking for both.
Additional complications 0.
It was already doubled. You didn't. Oh, it doubled it automatically. So now I know how that works. It was 3 versus 4 is what it should have read inside the log, but it's fine. You can't really make heads or tails out of it. Like, it's too small of a piece of fabric. If it is part of heraldry, it's like the tiniest portion of the heraldry. Like, this isn't enough for you to put to see the bigger picture.
I look at my dog. put it down. Tell him to go find more.
Okay. The dog takes a few sniffs and begins kind of searching around the village, and you'll hear it. What kind of dog is this?
Beagle.
No, it's just a warhound.
Beagle would
Okay.
be OP here.
That's why I said
So-
beagle. I know what I was saying.
Yeah, it's kind of the typical like soldier warhound. It kind of does that yowling sound that they typically do. That the hounds kind of do. And you're able to find a black cloak that's been ripped off, and it's inside like a thorny bush. It looks like whoever was here got tangled up and ended up ripping their cloak off to continue with the others.
All right, I'll remove it.
Okay, flipping it around, you can see what the eye shape, or you can see an eye shape on the back, and that piece of heraldry that you saw, that little corner, was like the very corner of one of the eye, or with the big eye piece.
Okay. Do I know, or should I roll heraldry wise again?
No, I think because basically you're not going to roll the same roll again. You're going to be what's called let it ride. Essentially, your results are your results until the situation changes.
Okay, cool.
The situation itself hasn't changed enough, but you now have something concrete you could take to somebody else. Be like, who does this belong to? And then I can give you the answer.
Okay, cool. I'll walk over to Ansel and say, Abbott,
Yes.
does this symbol mean anything to you?
Religious history.
No, that's
No,
not going to work this time.
Okay. Then I don't think I have anything to go for. I could try.
Does fire building work?
No. I mean, the alternative is if you guys don't have it just with the group that you have right now, you can bring it to the War Council and be like, we found evidence.
And we can always
item
ask.
number A.
We can always ask Francis as well
Yeah.
when we get to him. Could I try an untrained check to try to add another skill?
Sure. It would be heraldry wise.
Could
Everybody's
maybe
now wishing that they invested into that.
it's a smart thing to get into, I guess.
Even I'm considering it just because.
I'll try it myself, but I'm going to keep it
So
simple.
without revealing too much more, because you guys have already kind of gotten to this point, mercenary wise works as well.
You know what? I don't have mercenary wise, so I can't.
I already said it was mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I said you guys have pretty much gotten to that point. Like, you don't know which group of mercenaries it is. Identifying this eye shape will tell you which group of mercenaries it is. But you guys are on the right track. There, it is mercenaries.
Can I try to learn mercenary wise?
No. Yes.
My
Yeah, you
reasoning
absolutely can.
my reasoning is this, because one of my life paths is I was an outsider for a while, so good chance I might have learned a lot of little odd things.
Yeah. This is an odd one. Mercenaries are pretty proud of their identifiers, and they're pretty showy of them.
Yeah. Mercenary wise. I'm not doing this right. And there is no additional complications, so
Mhm.
I pass. 2
Cool.
versus 2.
Yeah, you recognize it. It is a mercenary group that is out of Ethabent. That they're called the Ebon Eye Mercenary Corps.
Huh. Shut up, Murdoch. Sorry. I just saw what he wrote.
You could. It would make you very good at identifying them.
All right. Mason. I think I got it.
Yes, sir.
This symbol. I mean, I've only seen this. I've seen this. I've seen it a couple times, and I draw in the dirt like the actual ebony symbol, and I try to match it up with the symbol, on the half symbol on the piece of cloth.
No, he's got a cloak that has the full symbol.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, like as soon as you see the full symbol, it like clicks in and you recognize it.
I've seen that symbol just a couple times. I mean, they're not the biggest, but
Ebony. Got it.
They're out of Evan.
Ethabend.
Evanwood.
Ethabend.
Ethabend. Okay.
Just trying to get used to the names, Chris.
I know.
We need a world map with like.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Just honestly draw a circle, and that one side put Ethabend, the other side put a hedge, whatever. And it will be good.
Do a thought chart.
Yeah, just doesn't even need anything a great map. Just needs to have them there. Bam.
I'll go. Well, once the abbot is done with his investigation, I would think that we're good. I'd toss a treat to my dog and tell him good boy. Or girl. Let's see what he is.
Roll the die.
Hi, it's a girl.
Roll dog-wise. Dog-wise.
It's a girl. Good girl.
You have to roll dog-wise. You have to understand the dogs.
You have to be able to sex it.
Chris, they're asking for dog-wise. I'm rolling it.
I mean, that's up to you. I'm fine with you just doing what you just did, though.
Yes, but one is a skill that you can learn and eventually get better at. The other is just, whatever.
What's the difficulty?
It's a grown dog, so 1.
Okay. What's Arthur? I can use my Arthur, right?
You can. I mean, you're probably gonna succeed this. You have 4 dice against an Ob 1 right now.
Ob 2.
Well, Ob 2, yeah. Arthur will give you an extra die to roll. Okay. Since you have failed the roll.
Oh! I know why I failed. Because I added another 2.
Oh.
Doesn't matter because I still suck. I rolled a 1 to 2.
Yeah, I forgot. It does the doubling for you. I need to stop.
Just put in the base ob anyways, and it takes care of doubling on its own.
All right, hold on. Let me redo that.
So the base ob is 1.
Artha.
You still really doing your Artha?
The fuck yes.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I'm taking away.
And I still fail.
You have 5 dice and you still fail.
The worst.
Yes, but you'll get better at it eventually.
So this is now one of your goals to find out what gender your dog is. One of your beliefs. All right. So the last piece of information I want out of the nuns was out of the interactions with the soldiers who were inside the temple. Did they hear any discussion between the soldiers about the situation at hand?
Hold on just a second, if you don't mind. Okay. All right, so what was that? I'm sorry, I had to look at something real quick.
I wanted to ask if there was any discussion between the soldiers themselves about the situation at hand, or anything they heard besides them barking orders at them.
From the nuns? No, not really. They seem mostly flustered. If you talk to the clericus, he's definitely got post-traumatic stress. Like, getting him to talk any bits has been hard.
Yeah.
There is one nun who comes up to you as you're kind of wrapping things up here, and it's Elizabeth again, and she says, I I'm willing to testify that I've heard the orders from the Viscount. It's very much a lie that she said that she's heard the orders, but she will tell you, and she will say it in court, that she heard that the orders came from
She's
the Viscount.
telling me that it's a lie? Or
No.
We know it's a
She's
lie.
being obvious about her lie. From your interrogation role earlier, you know that she is lying to you right now. But she's saying that she's willing to testify that she heard that the orders came from the Viscount.
She's crossing my values. Okay.
Yep.
I am going to give her an ugly truth.
Mm-hmm.
That what we need now is the light of truth for God's justice.
Tomate.
Oh, for Tomate's justice.
Okay.
We cannot taint that.
Give me an ugly truth roll.
Ooh. Can I actually help him out with? Can I help him with that? I actually have ugly truth.
You absolutely can.
What the hell is
Especially
ugly
makes
truth?
sense because you were also helping in the interrogation.
Yes.
What the hell is ugly truth?
It's
saying like truthful statements regardless of the
it's being
consequences.
Meant to
it's being
admonish a
horribly
person.
blunt.
Yeah.
Is it a skill or
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
funny?
And since this is a religious ugly truth, can I fork persuasion?
Yes, you can.
All right. So ugly truth. Modifier, one from fork, one from.
So ugly truths is the singular ability to strip a situation or argument to its bare naked core.
Basically, I'm trying to express to her that any lie here is an affront to the situation at hand and what we're trying to accomplish. So modifier, one from me, one from Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
0 Artha. Obstacle.
Your obstacle will be 3. This is an ugly truth about a complex political situation.
Complex geopolitical quagmire that is the Middle East.
That is the Holy Land, i.e. the
Oh,
Wow.
0 to 3.
The ugly truth that we're not finding out the
Yeah.
ugly truth.
She
She says "fuck you" and slaps you with a dick.
she clearly understands what you were doing, and she just kind of looks at you and she says, Tomate wants vengeance, or Tomate wants vengeance. He doesn't want truth. He wants those that would destroy his temples punished. And then she turns away from you.
The abbot will look sad at this, and without truth, justice is blind.
I'll walk up behind the nun.
Just wants the blind, furious, fire sword of justice.
I'll put my hand on the nun, on her shoulder as I walk up behind her,
Mhm.
and I'll say, "Sister, Tomate's love knows no bounds. His hatred and vengeance are not for the people that caused this, but his love and forgiveness. We must bring them to justice so they can understand what they did wrong. Lying about it does not bring the truthful people who did this to that justice, to Tomate's light, so that they may be forgiven in his eyes."
She's really adamant in what she says, and she turns to you and she says, I have said my truth, and if you want me to say it in front of the council and testify, I will. If there is nothing else, then I have the dead to attend to.
I said, "Good day, sir."
Yeah.
Okay, with investigation being finished, and just the last thing was, I'm guessing the answer is no, but to their account, there were no surviving Alted soldiers, right? They all got murdered off by the mercenaries.
Yeah, they did. It's
Okay.
All that's left are a couple nuns and this broken priest.
Okay. I I'll spend the rest of the time we have available to us helping them uncover the dead, and towards the end, I will lead them in prayer and ritual to consecrate the dead.
So Clericus Jackman here, he has the rank of Clericus, which means he can perform miracles. His testimony is valuable. So if you would like to use him for testimony, you can. But he is concerned about facing death because he'd be basically... Because his opinion is that both of them should be punished. He would be testifying against his own home country.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll remember that. And also, when I talk to him again by myself, I'll tell him that I admire his priorities and his values towards how he follows his faith, and that once he finishes his pilgrimage, he would be welcome in any monastery of Saint. Lambert, Saint Lambert.
Okay. He nods. Give me a rituals check. You have an ob 4 to consecrate the dead.
Okay.
You are receiving 4 helpful dice or helping dice from the nuns and priest.
How many?
4.
4 helping. Okay.
Yep.
And
God, I hope you fail this one and it becomes unconsecrated dead and zombies are running around.
I will look to.
I kind of want them to die. I kind of want them to become undead so I can kill them again.
I'm going to look to Mason. Well, he doesn't have a ritual. He just has faith, right?
Yeah.
So he can't really contribute. Okay. How does Artha work again exactly? How do we get it?
So how you get it is there's different kinds. There's fate, persona, and then there's deeds. Fate you get for working towards a goal, or working towards one of your beliefs but not accomplishing it. Persona you get for accomplishing your goal, and deeds is a very rare thing that's like saving the world or doing something that is a heroic act for no benefit. So killing the Lich King because you hate him would get you persona. Killing the Lich King because he's a terrible person enslaving people, that's a deeds point.
Okay.
It's all about purpose. How you spend them is persona will allow you to get an extra die, and fate will allow you to reroll failures.
And I start with persona points to spend?
You have one of each.
One of each?
Uh-huh.
And what was
fate, you get to reroll 1 failure die.
Okay. Okay, I'm getting 4 help dice plus my... Okay. So can I work my faith into this at all? Is there any way that works?
Not in this case.
Okay, let's start up the roll. Ritual. Modifiers plus 4. Is there anything I can fork here?
Are you going to use your persona?
Right now I'm adding up my modifiers first. I don't think anything forks with it. I just doctrine and religious history.
Yeah.
Doctrine doesn't work?
Doctrine will work.
Okay. So that brings me up to 5 input. Artha, this is where I would put 1 if I was using one persona.
Yep.
I will spend a persona.
Okay.
And my base obstacle is 4.
Correct.
7 to 4.
It was a good prayer. It was very touching to observe. You've given rights to several soldiers and quite a few children that were recovered. From speaking with the nuns, it seems like there are a few more people to account for. But this has been the most productive day because you guys have actually been helping them the whole time you were investigating.
All right, I'll let them know that should they remember anything else or uncover anything else unusual, to keep an eye out and to send news to the Abbey.
Okay. So you've spent your afternoon here. The next bit is to meet up at the Abbey for the council to come together. Unless you guys choose to ignore that and let them go to the Abbey by themselves and keep
Francis isn't going to get to investigate.
I was about to say it's
Yes.
time for Tom time.
I was going to say it is some Tom time.
There is an issue. I have to go.
Yeah, I was actually going to get to that. It's about the time that we should be ending. I want to give Tom time to do his thing without crunching it down to 15 minutes. And I want to give you guys time to do your thing at the dinner as well without crunching that down. So I think right here will be a pretty good place for us to stop tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry to make you wander off on your own, Tom.
So
It was the only way that I saw. So just for the record, it was the only way that I saw we could get investigation done in two places.
Yes.
I couldn't see me going because I don't have the social etiquettes and niceties to get it done. He's just a blacksmith who won't really fit into those circles. And the abbot is the abbot.
No, I got the logic. That's why I went along with it.
Okay. So I do want to point out something on your character sheets. If you guys think that you work towards one of your beliefs or instincts became a problem, you can click the boxes for fate, persona, and deeds there. That's what those FPDs are. At the end of each session, we review them and see if your characters advanced any or well, didn't necessarily advance, but got points that you can spend so that you can then advance your skills and stuff. So I'll start with the abbot. Learn more about my companions so as to better guide them on this road that Timotei has laid before us. Do you think that you've worked towards that goal or accomplished that goal? I wouldn't say that you've accomplished it.
Accomplished? No, because I'm using the investigation to learn more about them by watching, particularly Mason and what's Jeremy's character's name again? Marshall. The way they operate, and I've noticed how good of an eye for detail Marshall has.
Okay.
And also, so I would say I progressed it.
Do we think that you made a roll to move that belief forward, though?
No.
Okay. That's kind of the deciding factor of if you've done anything actively to move your beliefs forward, is if you've rolled anything to progress that belief.
Okay.
The next one is I will convince the court that war in the Holy Land is an affront to God. I don't think that one's had a chance to come up yet. I think it'll probably come up during the dinner.
Okay.
Let's see here. Mason is eager but needs to learn that peace is the best or the bravest fight.
Well, it came up, I think, just through discussion, and then at the end, I was gonna also praise him for how he for what he said to the nun, and I would actually apologize to him for being for not showing the best judgment, because I was quick to anger there, because I expected better from her and from where she comes from in that situation, forgetting what she's gone through.
I'll say that counts for fate. And then the road to God is humble and laborious. I think you giving funerary rites is definitely fate. The fun part about this one is it will never be done. So it's your fate farm.
That's the purpose of that one.
To get one of these each time we play. Okay, so let's see if any of your instincts became a problem for you. Always lend a hand. Has a piece of scripture for every situation. When met with a new group of people, engage with the common folk and learn. I don't think these were necessarily played against you. These were actually pretty helpful. The only one that I would say maybe is possibly instinct number 2, because the nun said that she'd falsely testify, and then you're like, crap, I've got an instinct for this. Was that instinct 2 that you were thinking of?
Yeah, also the fact that one of the tenets of my faith is earnestness.
Okay.
So honesty in what you do, and so I would say that applied.
I don't think the scripture necessarily got you in trouble, but if like earnestness or honesty is part of your faith, maybe that should be part of your beliefs. Is something to think about, because you can change these beliefs and instincts in between sessions. And like if you really need a persona point, what you can do is write a belief that you know you're going to solve next session.
Okay.
Persona points also keep your character from dying gruesome deaths. You can spend a persona point and it stops me from killing you. So it's always good to have one handy. All right, Jeremy, what are yours?
So again, I don't mean to be a jerk, but I really have to go because I have to let a dog out.
Do Murdoch's first.
Yeah, let's do yours first then. Keep the Abbey safe didn't come up. Militant order didn't come up. Will provide faith to, or prove to the faith that I'm from the jungle didn't come up. Make the Abbey understand need for knighthood, my knightly order. I would say rolling your heraldry and stuff like that.
I think the soldier-wise, like during the investigation, going through like various things that people wouldn't have thought about. You said faith or persona?
That's fate. I'm putting it on the big sheet. You guys don't have to check those boxes. That's for if you think of something during session.
Okay. I always check my weapons.
Yeah, that got you in trouble.
My weapons and armor and and horse are knight's words to the world.
Yeah.
Keep them clean. I don't think that got me in trouble.
No, it came up, but it didn't get you in trouble.
However, I think Instinct 3 didn't get me in trouble today, but it won't come up until next session. But I think it will be a problem next session. So I don't know how you want to do that.
So the way that Instinct 3 will get you in trouble is if you are talking to someone that is expecting a gift and you forgot to give them a gift. That's when it will get you in trouble.
Really? Not in my response to not being gifted?
Depends on how severe you take that.
Oh, very severe. That Lord Justicar is dead to me at the moment.
It's funny because the Lord Justicar actually has a trait that says to give people gifts when he meets them, but he didn't meet you in the official capacity, so he wasn't ready to give you his gift yet. He's following decorum, and you hate him for following decorum right now. It's really hilarious.
But see, like, that to me can get me in trouble, is just like, because that's how seriously he takes it. It's an affront to his honor, his knightly order. It's an affront to the abbot, to the abbey, to the city, or to the village.
Yep. All right, cool. I'll just keep going with the others, but have a good
night. Good night, everybody. I hate you all, and don't forget to buy Guns of Icarus online.
And wait up for Tom's new game.
And whatever Tom's new game is, which we don't know what it is.
Well, I'm not saying.
Okay, good.
Damn, we almost got him.
Cannons of Daedalus.
All right. So for Marshall, proper dwarven workshop. I don't think that's gotten worked on.
I don't think my beliefs at all worked. I do have a third belief I'm going to come up with it, but I think I think I had to add it after this session.
Yeah, you do. Once the game starts, you got to leave it.
Yeah, so I was gonna, because I figured out a short-term goal. I believe I wanted to.
Your stuff didn't come up this time because I'm looking at your instincts too. There is opportunity for it to come up in the future.
Yeah. No, I know. Most of my stuff just didn't come up. I mean, a lot of this was not geared towards. A lot of this session was not geared for my character at all.
It's a generally a good idea to.
My goal as the GM is to write situations that your beliefs and instincts come up and cause you problems.
Yeah.
During the first little bit where I'm setting up the world, it doesn't happen as often as it does in later games. Like in later games, I'm literally going to write a scene where it's like some competitive asshole has moved into your town and is trying to start a war between you and him over like crafting shields or something ridiculous. And that'll be a situation you have to deal with.
Yeah, like I said, I understood that my shit didn't come up. I'm not bothered by it. It happens.
Okay. So for Tom, the belief that you have that you might be working towards that I can see is regaining your place with the die makers.
Well, yeah, but I haven't actually gotten there yet, so.
No, but you did go with a lord who's of like a high station that could help like put in a good word for you. Like if you look at it that like if your character is looking at it like I can work this to my advantage, then yes, you work towards it. If your character is like, no, I'm not very happy about being with the Justicar, then you didn't work towards it. And that's kind of a judgment call on your part.
He really doesn't like the Justicar, so I'm going to go with
That's
no.
fair. He's a used car salesman. That's fair. Let's see. Next is your instincts. They didn't come up, which is funny because if you had gone to the burnt down church, I was going to talk about how it's like horrifyingly beautiful, and your character would have then painted it, and it really would have been rude. So yeah, I think we'll see more of your stuff when we open up the scene next time, because there is some stuff inside like Wayhaven for you to get tangled up in.
Right.
All right, cool. So that was our first little session here. So this game should be Thursdays. This one was done a little bit earlier. Typically, we're going to do it a little bit later, 9:30 Eastern, and run till midnight. So if you guys enjoyed it, whoever's been watching or is watching afterward, thank you very much for that. And hopefully we'll see you guys in the future. If I can find where to end the broadcast. Yeah.